Hello and welcome. My name is Luce, and I'm your resident legally distinct Fey creature here to follow the journey through a neat little VN here, Raging Loop. Now, this has gotten some pretty positive reviews around, and I've been itching for another VN of sorts, but wasn't sure if I wanted to jump into some of the others I had, so this seemed like a nice one. Be warned, the tags mentioned psychological horror, as did the page itself, and apparently this actually only recently got an English translation, so that's pretty neat. But yeah, be warned, it's going to be some heavy stuff most likely, and we'll state for the record that if my avatar starts getting in the way of anything, I will remove it for the future installments, but otherwise, yeah, we're going to be diving right into Raging Loop. Bow. Kako. I bid you welcome to the world of this visual novel, Raging Loop. I am nobody special, honestly. Simply consider me part of the interface. You may refer to me as Rikako. You know, the more she says not to pay attention, the more I should. The more I think I should. But then again, I might just be overly paranoid. I mean, the same thing happened during the Somnium Files. You're most likely playing this game for the first time, and I'm here to explain a few things about it. This work is quite strange, you see. It is recommended that the uninitiated take the time to read everything here. Those uploading gameplay should at least read the version sharing section. If you read till the end, you'll find a sexy CG of me doesn't exist. We truly live in a society, harsh society. How sad. Now where should I begin? Is this gonna be like the Toe thing? Because I can kinda get that. It's a visual novel, meaning story events and conclusions are very important. Because of this, it would be very troubling if someone uploaded everything to the internet. That'd be sad, very sad. Then again, we do understand those who want to enjoy the work with many other people. Because of this, we have set a guideline for how far we'd like you to upload. Okay, so yeah, if it's gonna follow the Toho rules, I'm fine with that. Although I will state for the record, I find it quite amusing that of all the rules that the Toho fanbase completely disregards, it's the one about the endings that people respect. This range covers the whole first main route, and a little extra. Specifically, upload until the choice at 4, infiltration queue, entering the village. This is perfectly fine, but let me screenshot this real quick. This is acceptable, the main route here. That's a lot, just so you know. We shall have enough content for uploads. I actually think it's a bit too much. Uploaders who read everything aloud might get a sore throat. Please don't oversee yourself, alright? Rikako here is 100% correct. There's a reason I have to bring myself a complete fresh bottle of water each and every time I do a VN. Even ones like the Somnium Files and Shinogi Chess Club, I had to absolutely keep a full bottle of water when I start the stream, and it's always gone by the time I finish. This time I imagine will be no different. Also, if you intend to upload, please use the reminder function. If you have it set on. When you reach the time to stop making a video, a strange sheep hops the screen and says end of the line. We'd be grateful if you'd stop recording when you see him and try theorizing and arguing instead. I'm fine agreeing to this. I intend to discuss my arguments and theories along the way. I will be honest and say I'm not very good at deductions here. I even messed up during the Zodiac trials. But I do think that was a genuinely good mystery. I just did a really terrible time with it. I just had a terrible deduction, because I'm a complete ignoramus sometimes. But I guess what matters is how I feel at the end, and we'll see how this game feels. This function is currently set to off. Go ahead and do this. Very well, I've set on. Wish to change it, please go to 0 introduction and come here again. Alright, so yeah, I'm perfectly fine following the Zun rules of only going up to a certain point. should probably go through this real quick, just for the sake of it. Why not? It's a visual novel. Much like with regular novels, the story is told through text, and enjoyment comes from reading it. If you are familiar with the party games Werewolf and Mafia, this visual novel bears a close resemblance to those, but keep in mind is that a resemblance. I imagine it's a bit linear to be properly like those. And yes, I could very well make an Among Us reference here, and it would be perfectly valid. So if you want to do that, I suggest we get that out of the way now. Oh, thank you. Go. Sus indeed, yeah. Sisters apologize to those hoping to play an eternal game of Werewolf with 20 or stupid AI recocos. I weep and bleed for you truly. How sad. Of course, this is not merely a novel. As you carry on, you'll sometimes come upon choices which affect the story. It's quite amazing. I was prompt. This would be a good time, and given I'm a fan of the Zero Escape series, I'm pretty sure I'm perfectly fine with with something like this. The characters have lively visual depictions as well as voices. It makes it easy to immerse yourself in this world. To enjoy the voices to the fullest extent, or to simply avoid bothering your neighbors with the sound of anguished screams, please consider using headphones. Let's just hope the story is obscenely lengthy as well, so please take care not to be drawn in so thoroughly that you begin losing sleep. Oh, don't worry. I don't sleep these days. Also, you may be aware of this already, but Raging Loop is based entirely around fabricated murders, horrific scenarios. For better or for worse. Yeah, for better or for worse, it's difficult to have a murder mystery without murders. It's tailor-made for all you fans of suspense, thrillers, horror, and mystery. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. Of course, this is a work of fiction, so it has nothing to do with real people, groups, and incidents. Yeah, certain degrees of separation can be helpful for that. It also includes fictional details about academic matters, such as history, religion, mythology, science, and medicine. Relying upon it during exams would give you 0 points. How sad. Yeah, I would advise not getting historical info from a VN unless it specifically claims to be about historical accuracy. Lastly, we do not endorse replicating the crimes and cruelty depicted in this work. I would certainly hope so. That's probably good to say it out loud anyways. There's nothing to worry about as long as you differentiate between reality and fiction, after all. Well, this is after all fiction. I'm sure you're intelligent enough not to conflate things that happen in the game world with what happens in the real world, so enjoy reading your loop to your heart's content. A lesson we should all take to heart. Special functions, then? Might as well go through these real quick. Allow me to tell you about Raging Loop's special functions. Raging Loop's story branches out in ways so complicated it might be hard to follow sometimes. There's no need to worry, for we have included a handy function called the Scenario Chart. Ooh, if this is like the one in Zero Escape, then I really am gonna be loving that. You can access at any time by simply opening the menu, giving you an overview of the scenario. And that's not all. Using the chart allows you to move to any chapter you've already been to, anytime, anywhere. Definitely good for the times I'm most definitely not going to be going back and see the bad ends, no sir. Now there's no need to save at every choice you come across. You can simply go back and choose again, so there's nothing to worry about. The Scenario Chart function will be explained again when you have to use it, so don't worry if you don't quite understand it. Now, keys. All branching in the story happens immediately when you make a choice. None of them start taking effect further down the line. Well, that's good to clarify. That's usually how it goes, but it's still good to have to say it out loud. However, some of the choices can only be unlocked when you have specific information called keys. Many might say that searching for these keys is one of the major goals in this game. If that's like the Divine Deception, then I think that'll be quite fun then. We'll see. Don't worry if you don't understand how to search for them. It will be explained when you have one. Additionally, keep in mind that all routes unlocked by acquisition of a key will be open even if you haven't saved after the fact. Alright, so yeah, the game sounds like the game has a pretty reliable autosave. This also means that you can't load back to a stage when you didn't have the key. This doesn't make any scene inaccessible, so it's not much of a problem, but it's something to keep in mind. For those commendable individuals who would like to play without any keys again, please refer to the data reset. Use it wisely. I guess might as well finish standard functions just to get the whole thing, then we'll go to the story. In addition to the special functions, Raging Loop also has basic functions you expect any visual novel to have. You can hide the text window, see the backlog, load save, skip read, skip to the next choice. Rather basic stuff, yeah. Saving and loading work as they normally do. There's an autosave as well, but only saves each time you enter a new chapter, so don't rely on it too much. Ah, okay, that's good to know. Please save manually when it feels appropriate, whether you've read a part that calls for it or you're about to use the scenario chart. The next one are options. They'll allow you to change volume, text play, or a few other things. Now this is something I want to bring up. I did notice that I had to click and drag in order to move it around, so I got the impression this was probably a mobile game at one point, and indeed correct. This is indeed a ported version. Kinda neat. Although, for better or for worse, the volume sliders are not actually a slider. They are just set. You just set them to medium, high, or off. But it's fine. I can obviously just adjust on my computer or my recording software to make sure it's not drowning out my voice or too loud. So rest assured I did the legwork we need. However, explaining it all would make you all very sleepy, so please read others or listen to someone's extra explanations. She's referring to me, isn't she? I'm counting on you, certain someone. Alright, fine, you can rely on me. What crap was that? I'm good. That sure took a while. Thank you for kindly for reading this far. Anyway, let's begin the story. Beyond the pockets of mist and hazes of blood, at the end of ever-repeating despair and grief, please come and witness the truth of the werewolf village with your own two eyes. Bow. Let's see how many imposters are among us. Sunday. May 11th, I believe. No, I didn't count that out manually. Why would you even suggest a thing like that? I closed in on the side of the road and killed the engine. It was steeper than I thought. My bike was on the verge of giving out, so I pushed down and deployed the kickstand. Welp, I'm lost. Maybe taking a ride down an unknown road with no satellite navigation on me wasn't such a good idea. And that's another thing. You have the motorcycles, but no card game to go with it. That's just asking for trouble. If I just followed the road, so I figured I wouldn't get lost. Now I was in deep shit. That was... no, cool it. This isn't a big deal. I sighed, took a note of the fact I'd gotten lost in my pocket journal, and pulled out a map. I see. Are we learning about this after the fact with journal entries? Interesting. Suddenly, a rush of memories flitted into my mind. I don't have any key yet, so let's just not worry about it for now. I'm sure there's nothing of importance there. I somehow kept myself from remembering those things. After all, I'd gone on this trip to forget to begin with.
More.
Araki Usaishi. I'm gonna apologize in advance because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna butcher every single name in this game. But it looks like I might have to actually turn off the avatar for this, so apologies, but it might be within the best interests that I do. Alright, let's just close VTube Studio here. And let's dive right in. Sorry, I just really don't want to block expressions of the characters and stuff here, because when I went through Somnium Files 2 after that, I found I'd missed way too much by doing that.
Enough of that.
I gotta focus on what's happening right now. Life is simple, just like this road. It's dark, there aren't any guides. That means all you gotta think about is whether you go forward or back. Going back was an option in this case, so I just moved forward. Yeah, I'm getting the impression our protagonist here is specifically trying to escape something. Although whether that's literal or just figurative, we've yet to see. Still, I want to know where I was at least, so I looked down at my map. It was all Greek to me. Last time I'd seen a sign, it was still light out, meaning that I must have gotten lost after the sun had set. Sure, it was my own fault for just guessing which intersections I'd been passing through, and it'd taken me 2 hours to conclude I was lost. Crazy to think that just 2 hours of aimless driving got me almost completely surrounded by mountains. They extend as far as the eye could see. If you flipped the scenery upside down and shook it, it's unlikely even a shred of civilization would stumble out. Besides the asphalt below, my sweet ride, and the lamppost above, the first one in a while, mind you, there was nothing man-made here. Well, at least that means there's some natural scenery to take in. The pocket map I had just wasn't detailed enough for me to figure out where I was. I guess I'll just keep on driving. I'd go as far as I could. Worst come to worst, I could just camp out at the side of the road. Hope he gassed up before the trip. Well, I guess to be fair, that's the kind of mistake where if you make it, you typically only ever make it once. 2 hours later, I deeply regretted ever thinking that. Basically, camping wasn't an option. This mountain road has no side to camp on. A dump truck I'd passed barely even fit on it. I'd also had my first close encounters with wild forest animals. I'd already seen 2 boars and 3 deer in those 2 hours alone. Oh, dang. One of the deer had run parallel to my bike while intently staring at me, and I have no idea what to think of that. Ah, crap, it's not the Wrath of Gaia, is it? I felt like I could smell my fear and did it just to make it worse. How dare that thing do it to a human? We're the kings of this planet, damn it. I have to remember to eat some venison when I came back to civilization. Okay, so our protagonist is somewhat petty. Good to know. Anyway, camping out here's a bad idea. I'd either end up as roadkill or animal food, and I didn't back out. Why? Because I'm a pretty warped sort of guy, and I won't pretend otherwise. That was actually the reason my once comfortable relationship had gone awry, and why I'd gone on this stupid trip. Ah, relationship troubles. Still, despite acknowledging that, I chose to keep moving forward. It wasn't like I'd find a place to stay if I went back anyways. I was actually starting to think this experience might make a good conversation piece sometime down the road. It was really getting late at this point. Where would these roads take me, anyways? Well, all roads lead to Rome. Actually, no. It'd probably be disappointing. Soon enough, the road became flat. I was out of the mountain pass. The forest remained abundant, though, so I didn't see much. Even so, the streetlights and signs were enough to make me feel like I was again nearing civilization. Was streetlights the right expression for lights in a forest? I'd have to look that up. Well, he's lucky the road keeps going on here. It could always have ended, and then he'd be stuck on a dirt road at best, and that'd really be damaging for the tires. As the road grew less rugged, I realized just how exhausted I was. All this bike handling had left my hands really sore too. I really had to rest. Suddenly I saw something unexpected. Powerful, colorful, artificial lights. A convenience store? I was gonna suggest it might be Christmas time. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was next to an intersection between the road I was on and another, even thinner road that could probably support only a single car. The sea of trees ended, giving room for the majestic child of our consumerist society. Somehow that sounds somewhat, on one hand, it's nice to see something familiar like an actual store you can get supplies at, but on the other hand, it's also a bit depressing to see the natural beauty end. Yeah, that was an exaggeration. Apparently even the damn store was a big deal for someone who just stepped out of the wild. It was called Fresh Market. I've seen several of them a few times during the day, probably a local franchise. The building didn't look all that old. At the very least, the parking lot looked a lot smoother compared to the roads. This was a pretty weird place to build something like that, though. Was I close to a settlement, or did they actually make a profit off of lost travelers? Huh. I guess it's like when those NPCs in an RPG place their shops and inns conveniently right next to an bandit cave or monster house or whatever. Just ask that or something. A local shopkeeper's bound to know what's around these parts. Not to mention I was getting pretty thirsty. I was woken by a weird chime sound. It looked like a normal convenience store. Goods on the shelves, a counter on the left, and whoa! The worker at the counter was so mean-looking it was scary. She was so imposing I wouldn't have doubted if someone told me she was in charge of some ladies' army corps. Aye. Was that supposed to be a greeting? It was so damn cold, it might have actually given me chills. Was the store shadier than it appealed? Was I about to be stupidly overcharged? Was this how this place made profit, by taking advantage of lost people and basically beating them out of their money? I think you might be getting caught up in the moment. Well, that was scary. Clearly, the Wonderland had only just begun. Woohoo! I sure was excited for the beating. I grew more nervous and less enthusiastic by the second. Come on, dude, quit being such a drama queen. I braced myself, but she just looked down at the magazine in her hands. Oh, just a slacker. Slightly disappointed, I walk around the store. Oh. I guess our protagonist is one of those people that, like, he wants to get crushed between two muscular thighs, if you get what I mean. That's about what you expect. There was a small shelf around with energy drinks, followed by stationaries, travel goods, sanitation stuff, etc. Sweets that came with the toys, a shelf of cup of ramen and dried food, freezer, fridge, it looked normal. It was late, so the daily edition packed lunch section was completely empty. Only special thing about it was a section full of vegetables you'd expect to see at greengrocers. Maybe all rural convenience stores were like this? I was slightly surprised by that, but there weren't any local fine foods or anything, so all in all, it was an unremarkable store. If you ignored the clerk, anyway. I took a drink and brought it to the register. Yep, she was really the highlight of this place. What kind of clerk smokes while dealing with a customer? You're actually buying? Yes, I was actually buying. She was the clerk and I'd be her god, the customer. Okay, yes, our protagonist is the overdramatic type. Got it.
126 yen.
126 yen. She didn't even scan it. This exchange was at the mercy of the clerk. God is dead. I mean, if it's a common thing people purchase, then it's possible she just memorized it. I know I've done that in the past when I worked at counters of... Well, I never worked at a convenience store, but I have worked at restaurants and stuff, and I've run in movie theaters and worked at the counter. Maybe I had to get mad at her. Can I ask something? Something tells me he's going to immediately regret it. You're a waiter? Huh. It was a fast food place, so you don't get to see... No, you don't get to see me in the waiter outfit. But yeah, I believe technically my role was the cook, but... You know, it's a fast food place. You rotate around exactly every so often. So yeah, I was doing the register a good amount. Taking orders and all that. Hey, I'm kind of lost right now. I quickly joined me. Where can I find the nearest town? There. Don't you have a map or something? We don't. Haha, man, this woman. I'm not sure I believe that. Convenience stores often get asked for directions. You must have a map handy, right? That a rule? Well, we don't have one. Go back to wherever you came from. I've actually been lost for a few hours now. I don't think I can keep it up for much longer. Sleep on the floor or something. She had to be joking. I appreciate the sentiments, but I'd rather be on my way. But I'd rather be on my way. Are you sure you can't help? Alright, just wait. The clerk put out her smoke in the ashtray and went to the staff-only area. She came back in no time. Alright, found it. She did have a map, of course she did. Even more ill-tempered than usual, she started giving an explanation. This here's the store. Go north the crossroads. You'll find an overpass soon enough. Cross it. When you come to the fork next to a giant boulder, turn right and go straight. Huh? This road? What of it? There's nothing there. There's a settlement, it's just not on the map. Are you mean to tell me you're sending me to a city that is not on any map? Oh, do you know any other places? Those Fujiyoshi, but it's 2 hours through a mountain pass. This one's about 30 minutes away. Fujiyoshi seemed to be a village. It didn't look too far away, but the road leading to it was a huge branching mess. There's clearly just a paved mountain pass. I've had enough of those for one day, and I'd probably just get lost again if I went that way. I'll go to that one again, thank you. Then, thank you. Money. Excuse me? You didn't pay for the tea. Here's 500 yen. Ding ding, rustle jingle. Why'd you put the change instead of the collection box without asking me? Having too many coins is a pain, ain't it? That's a hell of a line. I casually thanked her, grabbed the plastic bottle of tea. She didn't give me a bag, by the way, and just left the store. I drank the tea in the parking lot and looked up at the moon obscured by clouds, still bright enough to outshine the light of the convenience store. The clerk put me in a bad mood, though, so I didn't enjoy the sight. I threw the ball into a nearby trash can and aggressively drove away. Following the directions, I crossed over the overpass and arrived at the first fork in the road. The byway she told me about was really narrow. I probably wouldn't have noticed it if not for the tall boulder standing there like a roadside shrine for some traveler deity. A shrine to the traveling god Ratatoskr. How do you aggressively drive away? You know, I don't know. I mean, I guess he could have just floored it or gone faster than usual, but even then, and that's not always done just out of aggression. Sometimes you just want to get there sooner. Turning carefully, I got on the road. A minute later, I found myself in even worse wilderness than before. A veil of dead leaves covered the ground. Tall grass sided the path. And the sky above was blocked by overgrown shrubs, making it feel like I was passing a wooden tunnel. The road itself was a huge red flag. Wonder why I didn't just turn around. The exchange from before might have pissed me off more than I thought. Still. I really didn't expect the road to just, you know, end. It happened about 15 minutes in. The view ahead turned strangely dark. Then a split second later, the bike tipped forward. Oh no! Oh no. Both my parents actually, at one point, drove motorcycles, but they stopped after an accident. Almost got one of them, and they've been sticking to cars since. And, I never had interest, personally. I reflexively hit the brakes, but it was too late. I started going down a cliff. My bike tilted, and its suspension was put the greatest test yet as we basically tumbled to the bottom. The headlights suddenly shone on some dirt and grass. I knew then I'd be flung out of my seat. Stifling a scream, I decided to work some steering and brake magic to slow down without collapsing. I think I might know how he's talking about this, because I've driven during frozen stuff, and let me just say, it never gets easier to drive in frozen roads, even after figuring out a few tricks to make it easier. But that was too big of a task for a simple road bike. At the bottom of the cliff, it jumped higher than ever before. The suspension couldn't handle the impact, and I was launched to the air. A moment later, I heard a crash and felt an impact, after which came a very unpleasant pain. Well, at least the good news is our headshot shows we were wearing a helmet. Yeah, thank goodness we were wearing a helmet. Damn it. An accident where I was flung out like that was the first time for me. The launch was really something too. I did a 360 in the air and fell on my back. My breathing stopped for a moment. The pain was so bad I thought all my bones shattered. My face and limbs seemed fine, though I wasn't sure if that counted as a silver lining. There was grass under my hands. I felt it through the gloves. That and the smell of green made it pretty clear what I landed on. I pushed down, my hands sank. The grass growth was pretty hefty. It was probably the reason I came out relatively okay. Yeah, that and of course, the helmet. Sure, my joints creaked when I stood up, but aside from that, I was fine. It was really dark, so I couldn't really confirm it, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't even bleeding. My bike, however, wasn't nearly as much. Oh boy. It was lying on the side a short distance ahead. The engine was still on, back wheel kept turning, making an unpleasant friction noise. Yep, it's busted. I walked up, killed the engine, took the key. With the headlights off, I was surrounded by absolute darkness, so I just stood and waited till my eyes adjusted. I still couldn't see clearly, but it looked like it wasn't this actually wasn't a cliff. It was still a road, it just wasn't paved beyond this point. What did I say? This stuff is always a pain to have to go through. Obviously, a road bike stood no chance against an unpaved road. That woman actually tried to kill me. Zigzagging through the trees, I followed a narrow footpath deeper in the forest. I tried getting my bike up and running, but just instantly gave up. It was partially stuck in the mud, so there was a risk of it slipping and getting me in another accident. Maybe I had turned around? The moment I considered that, I saw a faint light ahead. If that woman wasn't lying, this road led to a settlement. Was I close? I reached in my jacket's pocket, took out my phone, and opened it up. As you'd expect, it was out of range. I ran the light app and shone the light to see better. Though weak, it was still better than nothing. Yeah, real flashlights are, thankfully, significantly better than video game flashlights. So, I'm not surprised. At the very least, it helped me watch where I was going. I had no idea how long I'd been walking for, but sure enough, I could see a light beyond the shrubs. It's weaker than expected. A flashlight, maybe? I could hear the water, too. Maybe I might have been near a river. Hello? I raised my voice. Hello? Anyone there? Still declaring my presence, I walk forward. It's late at night. Were I to bump into someone here, the scare would probably take away a few years of our lives. That's why I figure it's best for both of us to let each other know where we were before that happened. However, there's no response. Could they not hear me over the rapids? Hello? I shone my light ahead and realized I'd made it to an opening. Sure enough, there was a river. Or a stream, rather. I could see slightly more than I had when surrounded by trees. Straining my eyes, I saw a rocky river beach in the shallows. The light I'd seen was on the other side. From what I could tell, it was either a lantern or a flashlight, and it was close to the ground. I'd make a reference to the Princess and the Goblin movie, but I don't think anyone's going to get that reference these days. A shame, it's a pretty good one. I didn't see any people, though. Although, well, technically it was based off of a book, but I saw the movie first. No one responded to my shouting either. I wasn't excited, but I decided to step into the water. The cold water quickly soaked my shoes and socks. I could have taken them off, but I figured that crossing a river barefooted at midnight was probably a bad idea. Plus, there could be rocks or something in there. Oh, but man, it was cold. I put my phone back in my jacket. I need both my hands free in case I fell. Not stopping or back down, I walked to the light. The sunlight became deeper, water reaching my knees now. That was too close for comfort. Feeling the bottom with my toes and balancing myself, I somehow avoided losing my footing. The flow was fiercer than I expected. If I slipped and fell, I'd probably be washed away. It suddenly hit me. I was doing something really weird, but it was too late to back down now. Putting my hands on the boulders and carefully checking that I was stepping on, I gradually made it to the other side. Then, with the unpleasant wet sound in every step, I walked to the light. I could already see it clearly. Yep, a flashlight, lying on the ground for some reason. There wasn't much space here. It was a narrow riverbank and a cliff right beside it. As you'd expect, I didn't see or sense anyone nearby. Now, I was gonna say, if it's like here, then it's possible the person was just grabbed or just ran off and dropped it. What the hell? Though old, the flashlight worked fine. Strength of the light told me the battery was still pretty full. That meant someone was actually using this tonight, or rather, had until just a few moments ago. That was the most logical conclusion. It obviously wasn't left here yesterday afternoon or evening, and yet the user was nowhere in sight, and I was near a river. Did something bad happen? Did the flashlight's owner step in the stream and get swept away? That was the most likely and worst possible scenario. However, the flashlight was left there practically buried in pebbles. It didn't seem like someone had placed it there to light things up. It was the dead of night. There's no way you wouldn't notice dropping your flashlight when it's that dark. Right, the fact a light source was left in a place like this is strange by itself. But that considered what was going on here. Yeah, the most logical explanation is that whoever took it was either desperately running away or was taken. What if someone heard my stupid shouting and decided to lure me with a light? Where could they attack from? Above? Hello? I heard the voice the moment I looked up. Oh no. The rock cliff was actually made up of several boulders. There was a face peeking from behind one of them. Hello? Wow, person! You surprised me! That was my line. Sorry, could you pick that up for me? The voice was feminine. I finally realized what was going on. Oh, so you dropped this, huh? I picked up the flashlight and pointed at the source. Ah! High-pitched, slender hand shielding the light. Sure enough, it was a young woman. Ah, it's so bright. Sorry. This is me, by the way. That's creepy. Don't shine up from below like that. I am actually a bit lost. I think a bit is something of an understatement, then. Yeah, thought as much. Is this a settlement of some sort? That's a difficult question. Can you help me out at least? Help? I just need a place to hide from the rain and wild animals, that's all. Standing on a boulder, the young woman made a pensive face. Wanna come to my place? And that was the conclusion she'd arrived at. Her face told me she was 100% serious. Place, my place. By that she surely meant a house, right? A settlement? Can I? I know I asked for help and all that, but I'm actually desperate enough to not hold myself back. Huh? As a man? Yeah, I mean, no, as a living being. I spent the last few hours aimlessly driving around only to fall off my bike. I'm dead tired and at my wit's end here. Oh dear, what kind of living being would I be if I just abandoned you? Feels like, despite this being a short conversation, I'm getting a good amount of everyone's personality from it. And so I was saved. Oh, the beauty of living beings look out for each other. Anyway, your hand, please. You can't climb on your own, yeah? True. Honestly, I didn't even realize I'd have to. Meeting another person filled me with such relief, which is followed by a sudden wave of fatigue. It wasn't crippling, though. She extended her hand, so I grabbed it with my own with the two left hands. Her slender fingers were stronger than expected. Ah, I love a woman that can kick my ass. The girl's name was Chami Serizawa. I asked if she was related to the Shinsengumi guy, but she said her family just adopted the name at some point in the Meiji period. Ayo. I don't know, it just felt like the most appropriate thing to say. You know, I probably would not... I'm gonna be honest, the only information I know about that period is what I had to do for school, so I wouldn't rely on my own memory for information on the Meiji period. We only lightly went over those eras. She was a 21-year-old who went to college far away from here. This was her hometown, and she was spending her post-exams vacation here. We chatted about stuff like that once she had led me out of a rocky ravine. There was actually a proper path, so the rock climbing was pretty pointless, but I was too focused on my footing to comment. She told me about herself as soon as we reached solid ground. And what about you?
名前は房石春明。東
Haraki
京で大学院
Fusashi,
生やってます。
graduate student in a Tokyo college.
じゃあちょっと
Ah,
年
so you're
上
a bit older than me.
24だ
I'm
から
24, so 3 years.
芹沢さんと
I'd say we're in
3
the same
つ
age range.
違いかな。でもまあ、同世代でしょ。
I'm not sure why, but I appreciate we're dealing with college students instead of high school students.
知恵み
Yeah.
でいいですよ
Don't you dare be
敬語と
formal
かもい
with
らない
me.
です
じゃあ僕も
Alright, alright.
呼び捨てタメ口がい
Then
い
you
な
can。be casual with me too.
え
Can I really?
女の子に親しく
Hey,
さ
I
れ
like
て
it
る
when
みた
girls
い
are
で
friendly with me.
嬉しいからね。
なるほど
I know what you mean.
実は
I don't like
私も
stiff
堅苦しいの
socializing
苦手なんで
stiff
じゃあ遠慮なく
socializing either. Sure, I'll treat you like a friend.
どうぞどうぞ。
Wouldn't have it any other
ちなみ
way.
に、ま
That
だ結
aside,
構
are
遠い。
we there yet?
そう
Not
でもない
quite.
かな
We're like 5 minutes
もう
away.
5分くらい頑張りましょ
Hang
う
in there, Chief. What a lively girl. You could tell she was used to people.
ただ足
Oh,
元に気
also,
をつ
watch
け
your
て
step and
明かり
focus
だけ見て
on just the light.
何かあるの？
Any particular reason for that?
この辺
There are
石ころだ
loads
ら
of
けで
pebbles
危ないん
here.
だ
It's very dangerous. So easy to lose your footing. The moment she said that, I stumbled on a rock too big to be called a
あ
pebble.
と
Man,
今
it's
夜
pretty
は
dark
随分
tonight.
暗いしね
I hate when it's pitch black at night and you can't see because the moon's hidden and all that, so there's no natural light. I couldn't even see the moon anymore. Nodding in agreement, I focused on following the light in her hand. A shame it's not one of those nights where the moon is so bright you can actually see well enough.
ちょっと待っててもらえます
I gotta change. Wait here a sec. And so I did just that. Given this was a mountain settlement, I expected some old wooden house, but she actually lives in an apartment block. It's too dark to get a good look at it. All I could see were the cheap-looking walls, like you'd expect from some old boarding house for students. Also, she lived on the second floor, room 202. I'd heard some raindrops as we were climbing the rusty stairs, but now it was really pouring. Between that, the darkness, and the large tree next to the building, it was nearly impossible to see what was going on inside. It felt like I was all alone in a world of nothing but the walls, the door, and the fluorescent lamp above my head. It made me feel somewhat helpless. I distracted myself from that by imagining her changing. Whoa there, buddy. Eventually the door opened up.
上がって
Sorry about the wait. Come in. All smile, she showed herself, now in sports clothing. This is kind of exciting.
何にもないでしょ
Look at this place. It's completely empty, huh?
何にもないね。
Yeah.
でも冷蔵庫
But
の
get a
中
load of
は
what's in the fridge.
素晴らしい。
Magnificent.
飲みますか
Let's drink.
やったぜ。
Hell yeah. Yeah, her place really was empty. It was just a small room with a low table in the middle, a fridge near the door, and a large duffel bag deeper in. Oh, she has beer and hard lemonade. Huh. There were two old-looking bookshelves as well, but they were completely empty. I wasn't bothered, though. Any girl's room's like a wonderland to me. Okay, seriously, Romeo. Well, rein it in a bit.
じゃあ
Anyway, he went some big trouble. Went through some big trouble, so I'll drink to you.
地獄で出
And
会
I'll
った
drink to
仏
you for
様
helping
に
me out.
乾杯。
You're a real saint. We opened our cans, knocked them together, and downed them. Hey, it was actually pretty good. The pleasant bitterness and refreshing carbonation made for a pretty good combo. I'm not too much of a beer person myself, but...
美味しい
Ah, so good. I live for this.
その若さ
Come
でそ
on,
れ
you're
は
too
ない
young
で
to
しょ
say
う。
that.
言い過ぎた
Yeah, you're right. I'm not despairing for my future or love life yet.
ところが、
You hear that?
就活という
That's the
影が
sound of
迫
job
る。
hunting. It's coming here fast.
いやや
No,
めて
don't say that. You'll
せっ
ruin
か
my
くのビール
beer.
がまずくなる
She laughed and took a huge sip. It's pretty clear she could hold her drink. That aside, something kind of
お
bothered me.
誘いに乗っておいてなん
This
だ
might
け
be a
ど
bit、late for this, but can I ask you something?
何
Go ahead. Nani? Her cheeks were already red. Maybe she couldn't handle her liquor as well as I thought. She had a well-featured face, and I didn't think it was wrong to consider her beautiful. Sure, her clothes weren't the least bit sexy, but I could tell she had some makeup on.
僕は完
To
全に
you, I'm just some
正
stranger who
体
says
不
he's
明の
lost,
自
right?
称。
そうね
Yep.
君は年頃
And
の
you
女性。
yourself are a young woman
今
invited
は
that
深夜。
stranger on an
ワ
enclosed
ンルーム
space
の
and
密
started
室で
getting
男
drunk.
と二人っきり。その
おお
Oh.
身の危険を感
Don't
じた
you
り
think
と
this is
か
a
は。
little dangerous? Oh wait, no, Romeo he is responsible.
うーん
She kept gulping the drink even as she formulated a response. The very fact I could just watch her do that made this a pretty risky situation.
あんまり
I
ない
wouldn't
か
say
な
so.
それは。
芹沢知恵みクイズ
Time for a Chimi Serizawa quiz.
イエーイ
Yay, I guess. Here's a question. My virginity is threatened, but I don't feel like I'm in
にもかかわ
danger.
らず芹
Why?
沢知恵みは特に身の危険を感じないなぜでしょう
Because she can kick his ass? What a fun girl. This only made me like her more, increasing the danger even further. This is going places.
質問 OK?
Am I allowed to ask questions?
どうぞ
Sure.
僕のことがい
Can I
い
just
人っぽ
assume
い
it's not...
という答え
because I
は
look like a
な
good
しでいい
guy?
かな。
悪い人に見え
Well, I
る
don't
って
think
わ
you
け
look
じゃ
like a
ない
bad
けど
guy. But
Nah,
no, I
that's
doubt you're
gonna-
good either. You look
女の
experienced
子慣
with
れしてそ
women,
うだし
for one. That unintentional... Because you can get laid, do you not get that? Yes, I did get that. The unintentional compliment showed she actually did see me as a potential
考え
danger.
られる回答は
There's two
大
types
き
of
く
answers to
二
this.
つ。
Either you expect nothing
想
bad
定
to
外だ
happen,
が
but wouldn't be
何
bothered
が
if
起
it
きて
did,
も問題
or
な
you
い。
actually want
も
something
し
to
くは想
happen.
定通り。
Or she could kick someone's ass. I did in fact open saying I like to women that could kick my ass.
ふむ
前者は
I can think of
いろ
several
いろ考
situations
え
the
られるか
former.
な。
For example,
例
you're
えば
actually on the edge
ちえ
and
み
don't
ちゃ
care
ん
what
が何かやけっ
happens.
ぱちになっていて、あるいは
Or
十分な
maybe
自衛手
you're
段
just
があ
confident
る。
you can defend yourself. Maybe
実
you
は
know
護
martial
身
arts and
術
could
の
easily
達
kick
人
my
で
ass.
僕なんか軽く乗せるとかね。
Well, she does have an outfit for that.
おー、
Oh,
論理
so
的。
logical. Let me
春秋
guess,
さん
you're a
理系だね。
scientist? I
ま
guess
あ
you could
そ
say
うかな。
that. Now
一
for the
方で
latter, if you
後者
intend for something to
つまり
happen, then
例えば、
I'm a
私
thirsty
が
perv
エロ
or
エロです
something.
とか
Wow, talk about not mincing words.
酔っ
I
払って
blame the booze. So what else is there?
他には何があるでしょう。
Whoops, misclicked. Indeed, what other reason could women have to bring a stranger to her home? It would surely be something non-standard,
僕
like
の存在が
you want
君
to
の利益になる。
use me somehow.
例えば
For example, setting me up as an alibi. I could be useful to you by attesting that you were
後
here.
日僕が証言することで君が有利にな
That
る。
is pretty good as an alibi, yeah. A complete stranger is able to confirm that she was here this night while a murder occurs across town.
おー、
Whoa,
ちゃっ
that's
かり利用するわけ
shrewd.
だ。
あるいは
Or maybe you're a
ち
serial
えみち
killer
ゃ
who
んが
brought
恐
me
るべき
here
殺
just to
人
get me
鬼で
drunk and then
僕を酔
kill
っ払わ
me.
せてぶっ殺す。
Why do you sound turned on by that?
はあ、
Whoa,
山
so I'm an evil mountain witch
いい
now.
ね。ぶっしゃぶ
Sounds
し殺
great.
しちゃう。
I'll kill you real good. Splosh, splosh. What kind of sound effect was that? I guess dumping a body in the river or something?
ちなみに、
By
前
the
提
way,
で出た2つのケ
you
ースの
forgot
他に
one
1つ
other
あるよ。
case.
あれ
I
抜けて
did?
た。
うん。
Yeah,
私が
I
とっ
could
て
just
も
be
い
a
い人
really
で
good person
春
who
秋さんを
wants to
助
help
けてあげ
you.
たい一心だっていうケース。
Was it time for me to be ashamed of my filthy mind? Probably yes.
いやでも
But wait, is
それで
that
自分が
really
襲われ
important
る
to
かもっ
risk
て
being
考えた
assaulted?
ら。
わあ、
Ooh,
襲うっ
you're
て言
thinking
っ
of
ちゃったよ、
assaulting
この
me?
人。
Oh, wait.
あ
I'm just talking in general. You know, the
ー
cliche
一般論
scenario.
一般論ね。
She stopped talking and turned red. It was so cute. I thought she was actually doing it on purpose. Man, was she drunk. And we were just on our second cans. How about this? If I don't let you stay here, something even worse could happen, and then I'd feel real bad. Care to elaborate?
もうちょっと詳しく。
Dude, you yourself said there were animals and stuff all over the forest that could get you. I think that's a pretty good reason, especially since it's made clear this is just an apartment complex in the middle of nowhere. There's no actual city or settlement.
この辺りには
There's some
怖い
scary
野
wild
生動
animals
物が
around
出ます。
here. You might have gotten
明
torn up
日に
and
もこの
eaten.
人はズタズタに引き裂かれてしまうかもしれません。このまま見捨てた
That
ら
left
とて
a
も
bad
目覚め
taste in
の
my
悪い思
mouth,
いを
so
す
I
るかもしれ
figure
ま
I'll
せ
just let
ん。
you stay here
それなら
instead.
まあ止めてあげようかしら。
なるほど。
I see.
リス
Sir
クと善
balancing
意を
risk
天
and
秤にかけ
goodwill.
るってわけか。
I didn't
こ
expect
れは想
that.
定外。
想定外か。
Really now? You got
この
any
人
idea how
だいぶ
much of a
悪い
bad
人
guy
なん
you
じゃない
seem
か
now?
って気がしてきたな。
Now here comes the verbal backpedaling.
え
I
そ
do?
う
Huh? I do?
だって
I mean,
善意を
you
選
assumed I
択
was
肢
a
に
thirsty
入れる
perv
前
of a
に
serial killer and needed an alibi before
アリバイとか色
considering
々
I
と
was
か
just
さ。
playing a nice person. Well, true. That's also, it's also, hard to run into too many people who just want to, do something like that without expecting something in return, so, I don't know. Guess we'll have to see.
ヘロエロは君が
Hey,
言
you're
い
the
出
one
し
who
たんで
brought
し
up
ょう
the
が。
perv thing.
そうだったっけ
Details, details. So, what's the right
答えは
answer?
これって
You
単
mean,
なるバカ
oh,
話
you
じゃ
mean
ない
we're
の？
not just messing around?
正解者には素
Get
敵
it
な
right,
プ
I'm
レ
giving
ゼン
a
ト。
nice present. Get
正
it
解
wrong
者
and you're
はブッシュ
dead.
ブッシュ殺します。
Splush, splosh. Wait, seriously? Interesting, there's a fifth one here. She's right, you creep.
ピンポーン
Ding.
正解です。
You're right. Oh, cool.
まあ実際この
Well, I wasn't joking when I said this area is dangerous. There's deer, boars, wild dogs, and
鹿
bears.
とイノシシ
I
は
actually
実
saw
際にい
deers
た
and
け
boar
ど
myself,
熊
but
もいるの
bears?
うん
Oh yeah,
沖縄だけどね
moon bears though. They aren't as big, but they do
あんまり多くはない
attack.
けど
It's pretty
昔
dangerous
襲
out
われ
there
た人
though.
もいたし
It's actually pretty dangerous
ちょっ
out
と
there.
外は危ない
なんてワイルドな
That's just wild.
でも
Oh, but there's something even worse, actually. Worse than
なんだろう
bears?
熊より
ヘビ
Snakes, monkeys, crows, and spiders. Huh, were they venomous or something? I doubted that. Those really didn't seem worse than bears. Also, wolves. You really don't want to underestimate what an unseen snake is capable of doing to you if they bite you, that's for sure.
日本に
There
は
aren't any
狼は
wolves
い
in
ないでしょ
Japan.
いるかもよ
Oh, yes, there
こ
are.
んな中に
Here in the sticks, you know. She smiled and drank out of the third can.
まあ理由がどうあれ
Speaking of wolves,
まんまと美女
whatever the
族に
reason,
信
you
用を
end
果
up
た
coming
す
to a pretty girl's home.
自分が狼になっちゃうの
Won't
じ
you
ゃない
become a wolf yourself?
やめとく
No.
紳士
What a gentleman. Have another one. I wasn't too sure, but I felt like she dodged the subject. I think it's going for a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing here, which I do get. Perhaps I wasn't being cautious enough. But then again, I've been wandering aimlessly for a long time now. I had enough recklessness in me to enjoy sharing a drink with a cute, if fairly shady, girl. May 12th. Monday. Last thing I remembered was our little "when's the last time you pissed yourself while sleeping" talk. I had to tell her about the time I got so drunk I wet my pants in the middle of a boarding house. She laughed so hard she started frothing at the mouth and passed out. Oh dang, now I wish we'd actually seen that scene. That sounds hilarious. I woke up with a splitting headache. And by that he clearly means an axe in his forehead. Morning already. Light poured in through the frosted window. I pulled out my phone and checked the time. 7 in the morning. I'd gone to sleep somewhere between 2 and 3, which probably wasn't quite enough sleep. At least I didn't wake up to some horror movie scene. The building wasn't in ruins, and the girl wasn't actually a skeleton or something. Though in a way, this might have been worse. She was spread on the floor on the other side of the mini table. Her breathing was mixed with some gurgling sounds. I hesitantly looked at her. The saint that saved me last night had puked in the middle of her sleep. Ooh, you need to make sure a person is on their side when they're drunk like that to prevent stuff like that. What was I supposed to do here? As a guest, I couldn't be harsh.
ちえみちゃん
It's Chiemi-chan. Phew. She wasn't waking up. Well, I'd just do what little I could. There, that should be good enough. I used the tons of toilet paper to clean up the mess and flush it down the toilet. It left to stay on the floor, but it's dirty to begin with, so whatever. I even wet a towel and cleaned her face. Even then, she showed no signs of waking up. Some of it was on her hair and clothes, but I figured it'd be best if she took care of that herself.
ちえみちゃん
朝
The first hint of consciousness
ちょ
so
っ
far
と
today.
出ておくから
I'll be leaving for a bit. Without waiting for a response, I walked to the entrance. She'd have to take a shower and change and all that, so I'd kill time outside. I stepped into my still damp shoes with my bare feet. My socks were in the washing machine with a towel she gave me to wipe my legs, and reached for the doorknob. I opened the door and was greeted by a gust of wind. The raindrops gathered on the leaves of the tree next to the building. Flew right into my face, making me grimace. The rain from last night was already over. The sky was pretty clear, but despite that, I noticed the visibility of my surroundings was poor. The building was surrounded by leaves. The old structure was buried in a forest of trees about as tall as itself. There were branches poking into the exposed hallway. It almost felt as if they'd reach out and grab me if I wasn't careful. Crap, they must have imported some Mexican fighting trees into Japan. I kind of felt like I was an overgrown ruin. And yes, that was a Simpsons reference, for the record. I turned around and saw the room and Chiemi just as I left them. Yep, it was all real. I closed the door. There were some other rooms in the building, which made me wonder if they were occupied. Hell, I wondered the same thing about the area in general. I pushed the branches aside to see if there were other buildings nearby. Suddenly, something entered my vision. It didn't feel right. Something that shouldn't have been there. The leaves I moved revealed a woman clad in curious clothing. Is that an acolyte outfit or something? The moment I recognized her as such, she opened her closed eyes. Those are some piercing red eyes. Did our eyes meet? She doesn't seem hostile, but another strong wind. I shielded my face from the spray of raindrops. When I looked outside again, the woman was nowhere in sight. Was it all an illusion? If not, then what? What kind of place was this? It could have been a real Hicksville, a marginal village, a bunch of actual ruins, or an illegal settlement. I had some theories, but I set them all aside for now. It seemed like a place worth exploring, at the very least. I went down the stairs and found no sign of the woman, or anyone else for that matter. A short distance away from the building, I turned around and sure enough, it was pretty much covered in trees. I went to the place where I saw the woman. There were footprints in the grass. Maybe I found her if I would find her if I followed them. They led me to an open area. It was unused, but it looks like someone was trying to do something with it. Was it supposed to be a construction site? Even if it was clearly abandoned. There were large rocks and lots of sediment near prefab. From what I could tell, there had been a giant landslide, which forced them to stop construction. The fact that plant growth was still minimal meant it happened fairly recently. The footprints seemed to be going to down the hill next to the site. Following them, I finally saw something that could be called civilization. There was a set of paddy fields with houses nearby. So if this was a settlement, so this actually was a settlement, what a relief. I decided to keep following the footprints and approach it. I came across another unpaved path that was clearly used by people in cars. It was lined with weeds and brushes reaching up to my waist. It was home to caterpillars, grasshoppers, among other things. Oh, so a lot of green things. Well, it's not easy being green. Spiders were no exception. There was no shortage of insects there, so it was a good place for a net. I wasn't particularly scared of spiders, but I didn't like them either. At least they were just harmless orb weavers. Regardless, I avoided the bushes just to be safe and followed the path like the good city boy I was. There was a large boulder surrounded by grass. It was strangely tall, making it look like it was put there by people. On its dewy surface, there was a gray tree frog, ready to go after the many insects scattered about. I walked a bit further and came across a house with a small field nearby. The field's location made it safe to assume it belonged to the inhabitants. If there were any inhabitants anyway. I couldn't see anyone. And just like always, there was grass everywhere. There was another boulder standing next to the house, and this one was obviously placed there by human hands. What was the point? Was it a monument or something? The footprints continued to the field. The wet mud on the field was full of small, young, but healthy-looking rice plants. If you ignored the standing boulders in the area, the place looked like a normal farming village. I was both relieved and worried at the same time. From what I saw, there were not any other buildings besides the ones in this settlement. Everything beyond was just mountains, meaning that this place was completely isolated, and I was a complete outsider. There was no way things would go well if I ran into a random local. I belatedly crouched to hide myself a bit. It was probably best for me to go back. Chami might have been looking for me. Suddenly, I heard sound. I looked for its source and found a speaker on a wooden utility pole in the middle of a small plaza. A morning broadcast? I'd never heard of this tune before. It was cheerful at first, but had some parts that seemed kind of dark. I found it unsettling. It's mostly fine, but yeah, there's a few notes that seem intentionally off that make it a bit more off-putting. Or at least that's what I'm getting from this. Perplexed, I stopped walking. What happened next made me hide myself. There was a person in an area densely surrounded by houses, but they weren't normal. What was with that appearance? Interesting. What was that on her face? Though I was a fair distance away, I could see an old woman with some sort of cloth over her face shakily walk out from between the buildings. Oddly enough, there were boulders even there. But even weirder was the fact that she walked up to one, lightly joined her hands and bowed before it, her face still hidden. Then all was silence. It actually looked like she was revering it. To me, it looked like she was praying to it. Oh, this was bad, really bad. I'd wandered to a settlement with a unique culture, to put it lightly. Well, that's kind of rude. Great causing trouble, an outsider like me could get killed here. I just turned around and ran for it. I dashed up the hill, past the house, through the construction site, until I arrived back at the apartment building. Jamie looked like a relatively reasonable person. Maybe she could tell me what was up. It just hit me the way she described this place was somewhat weird. She basically said it wasn't normal.
あるいは
Or
ち
maybe
え
you're
み
a
ちゃんが恐
serial
るべき
killer who
殺
brought me
人
here
鬼で
just to get me drunk and
僕を酔
kill
っ
me.
払わせてぶっ殺す。
は
Whoa,
あ
I'm some evil
山
mountain witch
い
now.
いね
Sounds great.
ブッシュブ
I'll
ッシュ
kill you
殺しちゃう
good. Splush, splush. Yeah, that is a weird way to put it. I mean, if you're going witch, wouldn't she want to go with zap or something like that? Or whack or stab or something? Throwing a body in the water makes sense, but unless you're drowning them, it seems odd for a witch. Well, I guess you can kill someone with drowning. No way. What if she was actually the bait to use to lure outsiders here? Eventually, the broadcast stopped. Jamie still didn't come out of her room. She didn't respond even when I knocked and called out. I didn't have to worry about this, right? That just made my inexplicable unease grow worse. What if this was all a trick? What was I in a dangerous situation? I had to talk to her. If she was a normal person, anyway. Maybe my best option was to run away right now, but I wouldn't know where to run. I couldn't remember what path we'd taken to get here. I'm pretty sure we'd gone uphill. Maybe I had to go down. If I avoided the settlement and went back to the mountain stream, I could escape following the wild roads. That was my best option, even with difficulties considered. Thankfully, I had taken my bag with me. I took out a 500 yen note and put it in Chammy's newspaper box as payment for the beer. The moment I turned around to take my leave, the door to the room next to the staircase opened slightly with a creak. I saw an eye glaring at me through the gap. Ah! Her high-pitched scream pierced my eardrums. I screamed too, scared, shitless, and ran for it. Suddenly, I stepped in the wet hallway at a bad angle. I fell. Oop. Thud.
はるちゃんどうした？
うん
Oh, what's wrong?
誰このおっちゃ
Oh,
ん
who's this old guy?
あ、
Who are you?
あ
Are you
な
alright?
た誰ですか？
The
っていうか、
reasonable sounding voice prompted me to shake off the
大丈夫ですか？
pain and raise my head. There were two boys in formal-looking school
大
uniforms.
丈夫ですか？
Oh, are you alright? He repeated the question. Yeah, I was just a little
ちょっと驚いただ
startled,
けで。
is all. Let me grab a sip of my drink. My throat's getting a bit dry. Ah. That feels a lot better.
おっちゃんちえねえの友達
You friends with Chiene?
ああ、
Oh,
ち
you
え
mean
みちゃんのこ
Chami-chan?
とか。
大学のお
Are you
知
a
り
friend
合
of
い
hers
です
from
か？
college?
お知り合いが
She
来るなん
didn't.
て
Hey,
聞
she
いて
didn't
な
tell
かった。
anyone was visiting.
いや、
Oh, I got
い
into
ろ
some
いろあ
trouble
っ
and
て
she helped
助
me
けら
out.
れたんだ。
There's nothing shady to me
怪
about
しいものじゃないんだ。
shady about me.
怪し
Sorry
く
to
見
believe.
えるだろうけど。
You don't want. Nobody mentioned you being shady. No, wait, no. Yeah, he did when he said she didn't mention anyone from the college was coming. So
怪
yeah,
しいな
it
おっ
really
ちゃん
is, old man.
と、
Man, how do I handle this?
どうすればいいのかな。
My name is
とりあえず、名前は久石春明と言います。
Haruki.
僕は織部安永です。こ
I'm Yasunaga
っちは鴨志田近持。
Ori, but this is Chikamochi Kamoshida.
モッチーだ
Just Mochi is fine. Good to know. If I called him that, maybe he'd stop calling me old man. I was only 24. Oh, don't worry, buddy. It's only gonna get worse.
それでこっちが。
And
はる
this
ちゃん
is
何してんの？
Haru-chan. What are you doing?
だって知らない人が
Apparently, this Haru-chan was the person who looked at me through the gap in the door and
とりあえ
screamed.
ず大丈夫そうだから
He
出
seems
ておいでよ。
safe. Come out. A moment later, she slammed the door shut, and after a few moments of hesitation, opened it again. Haru Makishima. Whoa, she looked like a student too, except her fashion sense was exceptionally, flashy.
あなた
Who are you?
誰ですか
久
Name's
石春明と言って、
Haruki.
この近くでバイクで事故って、
I crashed my
芹沢
motorbike
千恵美
nearby
さん
and
に助けられたんだ。
Serizawa-san helped me out. Wait, are you saying you
それ
spent the night in her room?
もしかして昨日の夜ちえねえの部屋に
Yeah, she cut my words short with her ear-piercing shriek.
通りで騒がし
So
かっ
that's
た
why it's so
と思った
noisy. What were we thinking? You're supposed to enter an
何
unmarried
考
girl's
えて
room.
るの
It's
嫁入り前の女性
indecent.
の家に
Oh boy, this is only gonna get worse, isn't it?
ああ、
Yeah, I was hesitant too, but she was kind enough to let me in.
僕もちょっと躊躇はしたんだけど、千恵美ちゃんが親切で。
ちえみち
Why are you acting like you've known her whole life? Wait, she's not getting out. Oh,
ゃん
don't
ちえねえ
tell
が
me
出て
you.
こないのって
There's a 5,000 note in the door. Don't tell me.
違う違う違う
No, no, she's giving me lots of
単に昨日お
booze. I'm
酒
paying
を
her
おごら
back
れ
for
たか
that.
らそのお返しで
Her body's worth way more than that. How dissolute. Yeah, that's what you're focusing on? What the hell are these kids saying?
ああ君
Hey, can you help me out
初
here?
対面で
Drank with a
女
girl
性
who
の
just
部屋で
met
お
and she's
酒
not
を飲
coming
んだん
out.
ですか？
Crap, I had no allies here. What's going on? And so the subject of the conversation has joined in.
おおちえみちゃん
Oh, Jamie,
君か
can
ら
you
も
tell
事
what
情
happened
を
last night?
説明
Given how drunk she is, I'm not sure if she remembers anything about last night. Something was off about her aura. What happened to the lively girl she'd been yesterday?
知恵ねまさか
Did you?
恥ずかしいとこを見られちゃ
Ah,
った
man, this is embarrassing.
おおいやちょっと待って
Hey,
ちょっ
hold
と
on, stop.
もう嫁いけない
I can't be a bride anymore. Man, what a mess. Though Chamy's face was all pale, she was actually grinning. She obviously had a bad hangover, but that didn't stop her from messing around. After calming everyone down, Chamy explained exactly what actually happened. How we met in the middle of the night. How she let me stay out of goodwill. How we drank ourselves silly and then nothing happened between us. Yeah, I ended up going for the simplest solution, that she just wanted to help without feeling guilty because, well, my logic is anything else is probably just overthinking it, like she mentioned. And I have a habit of overthinking, so simplest solution. She just wanted to help out.
いやー久々
Man,
に
it's been
深
so
酒
long
しちゃ
since
って
I
思いっ
drank
きり
that
入っ
much.
ちゃったよ
Guess I wasn't prepared for it and puked it out.
お見苦しいとこ
Sorry I had to
申し訳
see
ない
that, Haruka-san.
ああいや
Hey, I don't mind
そ
it.
れはいいんだけど
That Haruchan girl still looked at me funny.
非常識
Absurd.
ああうん
Anyway, sorry, I was just so tired yesterday that I
昨日は
couldn't
本
refuse
当
her
に疲労困憊
kindness.
でね
まあ知恵ね
Well,
えだ
this
しな
Cheyenne we're
雑把だよ
talking
な
about, she does whatever she wants.
事情も事情だし
He's got good reasons for being here too, so maybe the elders will understand.
ちなみに
Where'd you
会った
find
の
him
ってど
anyway?
こです
下の方
Well,
の河原だよ
next to the river further down. My words made everyone change their expression suddenly. Yeah, I was kind of thinking something might be up when she was hesitating to just say it outright.
それはちょっと
That's a bit
大騒
a big
ぎ連続
deal.
で
Two
二人も
people
だ
over
なんて
just 2 days?
もしかして
Did I
まず
say
いこと
something bad?
は
I was gonna
あ
get out
ま
sooner
あ
or
い
later, I
ずれバレる
guess.
ことよ
We made quite the
さっきあれ
scene,
だ
so
け
I
大
wouldn't be
騒ぎし
surprised
ちゃっ
if
たから
everyone in
水中に知れちゃったろうし
Yasumizu already knows.
君
Hey, what
二
do
日
you mean
連続
by
で二人
two
持って
people over
何の
just
こと
2 days?
触らないで
Don't touch me,
汚
you're
い
You're filthy. I wasn't trying to touch her and I wasn't filthy. I mean, sure, I hadn't bathed in a day, but still.
君何が騒ぎ
Hey,
になる
why
の
is it a big deal?
対馬あたりが拒
Alright, let's
否
gonna
ってな
go
る
E. Well, that sure sounded
詳
bad.
しい話
Could
を
you
聞
tell
かせてく
me
れない
more, please?
ちょっと説明は難
It's a
し
bit
いんですけど
complicated. For now, just keep in mind
ま
that
あ
this is the
ここは田舎な
countryside.
んで
Things are
町といろいろ
different
違
here
う
than
って
the
ことで
city.
すよ
The guy here was Oribe-kun. Ignore Chieme, and he was the easiest person to
ど
talk
うすれ
to,
ば
I
いい
guess.
かな
What should I do?
まあちえみが何と
Just
か
leave
し
it to
ま
me,
しょう
alright? It's time for
学生
students
諸
to
君
eat,
は
isn't
と
it?
りあえず5分行かないとこの
But I
混
want to
乱
see
に
where
は
this
乗
mess
るっきゃない
goes.
乗るっきゃなく
No,
な
you
い
don't.
ねち
Just go already.
Toriazu
We'll catch up.
まあちょっと時
Well, I
間
guess
ずら
it's
した
best
方
to
が
go
いいよ
separately.
ね
There's probably gonna be some
揉めそうだし
disagreements.
さすがヤスくん
Yeah, I
察
knew
し
you'd
がいいぞ
understand, Yasukun.
ごめんけ
Take
ど
care of them
二
for
人
me,
の無理
alright?
よろしくね
Sure.
もう知恵ね
Stop treating
子
me like
供
a
扱いやめ
child.
てよそうだ
Yeah, I
うんこして
swear
や
I'll
るぞ
poop on you.
ほらほら行くぞ
Let's
モ
just
ッチ
get
ーハルちゃ
going,
ん
you two. And so the students walked off towards the stairs. It was kind of easy to tell what kind of relationship they had.
彼らが
Anyway,
この建物の
so they
他
live
の
in this
住人
building too.
そういうこと
Yep, it's a student
学生
dorm, you
寮だ
know?
からねここ
A student dorm? In this Hicksville? Still, my senses had not betrayed me. There actually were other people here.
ちなみに春
By
明
the
さん
way, you didn't run into
他の
anyone
人
else
と
and
出
get
会
in
って
trouble,
トラブった
right?
りしてないよね
Oh, yeah, I was
一
careful
応そ
on
れ
that
警戒し
front.
てたから
ならよかった
Good. Let's get ready to go to the dining hall.
ちょっとしたら食堂に行きましょ
あ朝
For
食
breakfast?
うの
Nope.
朝
Eat your
食は
breakfast
今から
now.
食
We'll
べ
go to
て
the
くださ
dining
い
hall to introduce you.
食堂へは一応面倒
Huh?
誰と
To who?
よそ者がサラナガ
Whoever
からや
has
っ
a
てきたって
problem with
こ
an
と
outsider
に
coming
文
from
句を言いそうな人
Saranaga.
たち
Oh, so like that Taiba person, huh?
お世話になり
Well,
ます
I'm in your hands
いい
then.
ってことで
It's
す
fine. If you're that grateful, keep what happened this morning a secret.
朝のことは秘密で
Yeah, she'd probably be in trouble if they knew she was drinking, so best keep
そ
it
り
to
ゃも
ourselves.
ちろん
Sure thing.
ところ
What's
で
Saranaga
サラ
anyway?
ナガって
That river?
何あの河原
そう
Yep, the river's
サラ
called
ナガの
Saranaga
瀬っていう
Rapids.
川だけ
The
ど
area
あ
around
の
it is
辺
called
まとめて
Saranaga
サラナガ
itself.
って呼ぶの
The place has some
ちょっと
cultural
曰くのある場所で
significance.
ね
いわく
It does, huh?
うんあの川は
Yep,
汚
they
れ
say it's
て
a
い
corrupt
て
place
死人が
where
帰
the
っ
dead
てくる
return from the other
みたいな
side.
伝説がね
Oh. Does that mean I died? So that's why they reacted like that.
他にもその手のルールとい
Any
う
other rules or
か
customs I should be aware of?
たくさんあります
Oh, there's lots.
なので基本
So just leave
ちえみ
everything
ち
to
ゃんに
me,
お任
alright?
せを
Yeah, if there's too many to just go over here, it's probably best we just let her handle everything and learn as we go along. Well, gladly on all
ちなみに
fronts.
身
May
の
I
危険
ask,
とかは
am I in danger?
ないない
No, but you
で
should
も
try to escape
いろい
before
ろ
something
不愉快
unpleasant
な思いを
happens
す
to
る前
you.
に
そのための根
And
回
you're
し
gonna lay
に
the
行く
groundwork for that, huh?
そうそう
Hey, yep, yep. The settlement I'd strayed to was a pretty weird place, but at least the guide was reliable. And she wanted me to leave ASAP, huh? That was depressing. Still, the fact she's recommending we go is probably even more or evidence that she's probably trustworthy, if only because she wanted to help, but she also doesn't want us to stick around too much, or that help will turn sour from the town. Chamie gave me a cup of ramen for breakfast. She boiled the water in a small extra kettle. The girl herself was too hungover to eat anything. I did take the opportunity to pay her back for last night's drinks in person, though. Then we made our way to the dining hall.
この岩って何なの
What are these boulders, by the way?
一
They're
応
like
お守
charms,
り
I
みたい
guess.
なもの
They've been here forever.
よそでは見た
I've
こと
never
ない
seen
よ
anything like them anywhere else.
ああ言わ
Oh
れた
yeah, I
ら
guess
そう
they're
かも
kinda unique to this area. She'd led me down a narrower path than I'd followed earlier. Didn't seem like any cars used this one. It was very farmy, I guess. I guess if the rocks have been here for quite a while, then the history to this place must really go back. Especially if even people who live here now don't seem to be aware of it, because she did say she was coming home from college for a bit, meaning she does live here normally. This area was also littered with these boulders. Some were cracked or broken or half buried in the fields. They were clearly religious symbols, but didn't look like they were that important these days. Or were they? They might be mostly ceremonial, something you'd, only really break out for the rituals and festivals stuff. Now that I knew I was safe, I once again became curious about this place.
人だ
Oh, there's a person. He's working the
匠兄
field.
ちゃんだおはよ
That's Oh, that's Takumini-chan. Morning. She waved her hand. The man responded, but then froze
Yeah.
midway.
いいの
Let's go. Are you
多
sure we
分あの
should? The
人
guy looked,
僕の
pretty
存在
surprised
に
to see
驚いた
me.
んじゃ
う大丈夫
Oh, don't worry. He'll
どう
be
せ
at the
後で
dining hall
食堂に
soon.
来るから
We'll explain things
説明は
then.
その時にするってことで
All sounds convenient, at least. Well, if she said so. As an outsider, I have no choice but to rely on her. Still, we can't let our guard down, even around our new buddy. We don't know anything about what could be happening here. This was part of the village I saw this morning, where the buildings were more densely packed. I didn't notice it back then, but it was actually kind of weird. Basically, it felt desolate. The wooden bungalows, in particular, were more or less overgrown, buried in tall grass and other greenery. If this was all I saw of the village and someone told me it was abandoned, I'd have easily believed them. However, two of the buildings stood out. There was a hall right beyond the hill. It wasn't that big, but it looked grand and well maintained. The other building was obviously the dining hall. It looked a bit dirty, but I could tell there were people inside. From what I could tell, it was the most lively place in this poor excuse for a community. Dang, this guy's pretty judgy today. Suddenly, the three students walked out chatting about something.
知恵ね
Ah, Chine.
と久石さん
Bye, Shishan.
再度おはよう
Morning again. Aren't you
モ
late?
ッチーがバカなことばっ
We
かり
took
言
forever
って
because
遅く
Mochi
なっ
doesn't
ちゃったん
stop
だもん
saying nonsense.
そうだ
Yes,
僕が
I'm
悪だ
evil. Give me miso
遅し
soup.
まあ早足なら
Oh,
間に合うでしょ
You'll make it if you
みんな
hurry.
しっかり
Behave
勉
in
強
class,
しと
you
いで
guys. Half dashing, the three ran up the path
み
we
んな
came
高
from.
校生なんだ
So they're all in high school, huh?
そう
Yep, there's a
山を
branch
ぐー
school
っと登った
all
と
the
こ
way
ろ
up
に
the mountain.
分校がある
I
ん
was
だ
going there myself 3 years ago.
やたら不便だね
Huh, sounds like a bit of a hassle.
それでもみんな
Oh, it's not all
あ
that
の寮
bad.
に
At
住める
least we get to
分
live in
優
that
遇されて
dorm.
るんだけど
So this is what... So I guess this is the future families that will say, I used to have to go Butai school uphill both ways. Chammy was entirely straight-faced. There wasn't even a hint of smile.
気合を入れて
Alright,
入りま
let's
しょ
get
う
psyched.
そうし、
気合入んない
I'm not convinced. We laughed a bit as we passed the curtain.
いらっしゃい。あら、
Welcome. Oh. The inside was as aged as the outside, but it looked well maintained.
ちえみちゃん。
Is he a
お客さん？
visitor, Chamie-chan? The hostess lady asked. Though somewhat aged and fatigued, she was definitely beautiful. There were two others beside her. One was the lady in her 70s or 80s. She was probably the one I saw this morning. The silhouette matched, at least. The other was a man who seemed a bit younger than her, probably in his late 60s. Though they were just sitting there was a menacing aura about them.
うん紹介するね
I'll introduce
久
him.
石春明さ
This
ん
is Haruka
昨日の晩
Ifuashi.
サラナガで
I
迷って
found
た
him
の
at the
を
Saranaga last
ちえみ
night.
が保護
Took
し
him
ま
into
し
my
た
care. Reactions were powerful. Yeah, everyone seems to be having this reaction. The lady gasped while the two elders rose their feet with alarm. The tension was already there the moment... The tension that was already there the moment I walked in has now reached its peak.
気にするのもわかるけど これは
I know you're
単なる偶然で
concerned,
す
but this is in fact just a coincidence.
あの子と違って
Unlike that
こ
little
の人
girl,
は
he
素
knows
性が
exactly
明
where
ら
he
かだ
came
し
from.
バイ
He
クで
went on an
旧
old
道に突
path
っ込ん
that
で
with his
事故
bike
った
and
って
crashed.
非常に気
It's
の毒な
actually
事
very
情もある
sad.
そんなわけで
That's why I think
我々
we
とし
should
て
help
は
him
こ
leave.
の人がちゃんと帰れるように手伝ってあげるのがいいとちえみは思います
The fact she said little girl makes me think that's going to be an important detail later.
どうですか
What do you think?
皆様方
After saying all that, Chamie fell silent. The ball was in their court now.
まあ、それは
Now
大
that
変。
is troubling. The lady voiced a harmless opinion, careful not to upset the old people. It was pretty clear who was in charge. They were the elders in more ways than
ち
one.
いちゃんはなんで夜に
Chi-chan,
サ
why
ラ
did
ナ
you
ガ
even
なん
go
て
to the Saranaga at night?
虫の
I
知
had
ら
a hunch, I
せ
guess.
かな
You know what happened. I just
前の日
couldn't
にあん
fall
なことあっ
asleep.
たし眠れなかったから
Oh man, isn't that a mood?
そいじゃやっぱり
Then he's gotta be a
じゃないんかね
Yomi-Bito.
やめタイバ
Oh, shut it, Taiba. From the conversation, it's pretty clear that something happened before I had arrived here. It's probably similar to what happened with me. She mentioned some little girl, perhaps the child who'd wandered here like I did. According to Chamie, the rapids are a place of significance around here. It's a place in which dead people come back to life or whatever. Oh, so this Tai must have been the E lady the boy had mentioned, and the Yomi-Bito must have been a term for the dead who came from there. Apparently, the primary goal was to convince these elders to approve helping me.
どっから来た
Where are you from? The old man's voice put my derailed mind back on track.
はい、
Oh, I'm
Tokyo
actually
です。
from Tokyo.
いくつじゃ
How old are you?
年は
地位より上じゃが
Older than she, huh? He chuckled. I immediately realized he was taking a jab at me for hiding behind a younger girl. 申し遅れ
nice
ま
to
した
meet you. 房石春明です。
I'm Haruki.
芹沢さんにも紹
Like I
介され
said,
た通
like she
り、
said, I wandered
バイ
into
クで事
town
故っ
after my
て
bike
迷い込みまし
crashed.
た。どうやら僕
I
は
seem to be a
こ
total
こでは異
outsider
分
here,
子
so
の
I
ようで
didn't want to speak out of
変なこ
turn.
とを言ったりしたりして、皆さんに迷惑かけたくないなと。
I need to let him finish talking.
それで、
That's
芹
why I
沢
asked
さんに
her
紹
to
介を
talk
お
on my
願いしたんで
behalf.
すが、
I think I should
僕
say
から改
something,
めて
at the
お
very
願いしま
least.
す。すぐ出て行き
I
ますか
won't
ら、
trouble you any longer than
そ
I
れまで
have
は
to, so I'd be
僕の
grateful
存
if
在
you
を多め
pardon
に
my
見てい
brief
ただけない
stay.
かと。それと、
And please
僕を
don't
助け
blame
て
her
く
for
れた
helping me.
芹沢さんを責めないであげてください。
春明
Hey,
さん
Haruka.
おそらく芹
I
沢さん
think
は、
she went against the
ここの
village's
常
customs
識を
by
外れ
helping
た
me
ところ
out.
で、僕を
students
助けてくれたんだと
Also
思うん
seemed
です。
surprised.
まあ、
Oh my, oh my.
これでも大人です。
I'm an adult. I'm willing to take
自分の責
responsibility
任
for
は
any trouble I
自分で
cause
取ります
as
し、
best I can.
皆さんにかけた迷惑は可能な限り償います。ですので、
Probably shouldn't have gone that far,
どう
man.
か
So
お願い
please
します
put up with me. I bowed my
ちゃ
head.
んとしとるタイバ
It seems alright to me, Taiba.
あた
I
し
don't know
ゃ
about
スタ
that.
ンは
Look at
ね
his hair,
そ
all
んな
colored
に
brown.
髪茶色に染めてから
Oh shit, I forgot. I didn't look very presentable more traditionalist people.
よそは皆こうよ
Outsiders are all
I'll
like that.
guys
Just help get them out of here, I say.
ほいじゃあ好き
Do
にし
what
な
you
さいね
want. I guess I got their half-hearted
春
approval.
秋
Haruke.
うちの孫もあるじゃん
Haru, like my granddaughter. What a mess.
あ、 もしかして
Oh, so that means you're...
そうはるちゃんのおじいさんの
Yep, he's
Makishima
Haru-chan's
Kanzo-san
grandpa,
よ。
Kanzo Makishima.
どうも。
Oh, it's a pleasure. I didn't know what else to say. Haru-chan and I weren't exactly on the best of terms so far. And it seems like we are past the difficult part, at least.
皿長に突っ込んだか。
Drove into the Saranaga, eh?
いえ、
Actually, I'd asked for directions at a
コンビニで道を聞いた後、
convenience store, went down a side road, and ended up losing
二歩層にな
control
ったと
at
ころ
an
で滑り
unpaved
落ちて
section.
横転しました。
で、皿長
And then you went in
戻
the
ったか。
Saranaga.
なぜ
Why
途
didn't
中
you
で
turn
引き返さない？
around? He wasn't impressed by my choice of actions. It just hit me that I had no idea how much time had passed between the crash and my meeting with Jamie.
わしと匠で見てきた。
Takumi and I'll go see it.
匠は他を見
Takumi's
るわ
working in the
よ。
field.
タイバ追い出す思うて手
It's
伝わ
to
せ
get him to leave, let the boy help.
カンちゃんはい
You never change,
そうそう
Kan-chan.
ね。
ばあちゃん、おやさん、どうした？
Hey, what's going on here? We're joined by a new inhabitant.
ちえみ。
Jamie, who is that guy?
たくみ姉ちゃん
Oh, Takumi. So he was the one we saw in the field. Wow, he sure looked big from up close. All that field work was good for his muscles, clearly. And from what I could tell, he must have been in his 30s. As Jamie introduced and told him of the situation, I found out his name, Takumi Muro.
ああ、そいつは
Oh
災難
man,
だ
that
った
must have been
な。
hard. So, old man
わ
Konzo.
しとお前で拾う。
We'll pick it up.
だな。
I thought so.
ばあちゃん、
Sabaton,
こい
wait
つ
a
助け
bit
た
while
ら
I help
ちょ
the
っと
guy. I
待って
already
な
spread the stuff in the
も
field,
う
so
農
I'll mow
薬
the
は巻
grass
き
at
終わってるか
noon.
ら、いるから草刈るわ。
匠は優しい。
What a good boy.
こんなもん
It
なんで
ain't a
もない
big
って。
deal. I'll be so
す
quick
ぐ何
you'll
もな
think
かったよ
nothing
うにできるから
happened.
よ。
そう。
Good to hear. Nothing,
お
eh?
に
Boy?
僕ですか？
Me? What is it?
ここは安い。
You're in Yasumizu.
あんまり
It ain't a
いい
good
場所
place.
じゃないんよ。
It was a place that wasn't good? Not my presence here that was bad?
私らもよそ
We
で
don't
も
like
何
outsiders
役
here, and
だし
outsiders should let
よそ
sleeping
のもん
dogs
も
lie.
じゃから
So you should hurry and
早
leave.
く出てお行き。
I can assure you the feeling's mutual, I guess. Well, that's the
Hi.
plan.
そのつもりです。
話はついた感じか？
Oh, so it's settled then.
ありがとう
Yep,
たくみ姉ち
thanks,
ゃん
Takumi. I was beginning to understand how things worked here. Although Kanzo's voice was the most powerful, it was also important to get Tai-san's approval. Kanzo was probably in charge of tackling the settlement's practical problems, while Tai-san provided spiritual and moral direction. And when it was time to be civilized, Takumi came and convinced Tai-san, acting as an intermediary. Looked like Takumi-san himself understood such subtleties, and Jamie seemed to rely on this side of him.
はいここらで一
And
つ
there
ど
you
うぞ
go. The lady brought some tea to the old folk. Perfect timing.
おお、香織さん。
Ooh, Carson.
俺には飯頼むぜ。
Looking forward to getting some food. So that was her name,
ええ
Korioribe.
朝早くからお疲れ様でした
Sure, I'll make
大盛りにしま
I'll
す
make
か
a
らね
lot. It'll be a reward for waking up early and working hard.
なに安水とばあちゃん
Hey, I'm
と香
doing
織
it
さんの
for
ためなら
Yasumizu Ba-chan and you. It's nothing really.
まあ
Oh my. Those two sure seem to get along. They look about the same age too.
さあお客さんもご
Would you
飯
like
に
something
さ
to
れ
eat
ま
as
す
well?
あ、
No thank you, I already
い
ate.
ただいてきたので。
それじゃあ
Oh, then
お
here's
茶
some
をどうぞ
tea. I can also get you a light snack if you like. What would you say to some onigiri?
あ
Oh,
Sorry.
that would be...
ごめんなさい
Sorry,
ち
can
ょ
we
っ
borrow
と
the
急ぎ
phone?
で
We
電
need
話
it
借
real
りていい
quick.
かな香織さん
Oh,
それはいいけ
sure,
ど
but why not have some tea
う
first?
んありがとう
Thanks,
で
but
も
it's
ほんと緊
urgent.
急だから
Let's go,
行こう
Haruki-san.
ハラ
Haruaki-san?
あ。
Sure.
うん。
Didn't look like I could say no. I think she had a reason for wanting us to deny the tea. Because it was specific, she only really brought that up immediately. She only interrupted us the moment the option for tea came up. We went up the nearby stairs to what seemed like a living space, and at the end of a hallway was a black rotary phone, a rarity in this day and age.
これがここ
This is the
安
only
水
phone
唯一の
of
電話だから
Yasumizu, by the way.
ち
Seriously.
なみに
Oh,
携
and
帯
not a
電
single
話は
mobile
どのキ
device
ャリアも
service
通じ
provider
ま
works
せん
in
の
this
で
area. Yeah, you pay the money and then they don't even bother covering when you need them most.
そうなのか。
Really? Wait, you want me to call anyway?
ロードサービスとか
Food service,
保険と
insurance,
か
stuff like that.
あと
And
必要な
family
ら
if you
家
have
族に
to.
も連絡
Oh, that made sense. Hell, I should have been the one to say that. I mean, yeah, rather important to let everyone know.
さっきも言ったけど
Like I said, it'd be best if you
で
left
き
as
る
soon
だ
as
けここを
possible.
早く出
So
ら
you
れ
should
た方
use
がいいか
everything
ら
that you have.
使え
よそ者が歓
Because
迎されな
outsiders
い場
aren't
所だ
welcome
から。
here. Is that correct?
そういう
それ以上の詮索
And
は
I
無
shouldn't
用
pry
と。
any further. Is that right?
ね
Haruki, I see you catch on
春明さん
quickly.
はとっ
That's
ても察
good.
しがいい。それはいいことだと思う。
Yeah, the general idea I'm getting is that whatever's going on, she thinks it's better if we don't know.
ただ、
But you also
好奇
seem
心も
really
とっても強く
curious.
見える。
バレたか。
It
バレま
shows,
すと
huh?
も。
Of course it
で
does.
も正
Honestly
直、
though, you should avoid
あん
sticking
ま
your
りいろ
nose
いろ
into
首突っ
things.
込まない方がいいかも。
Yeah, it's definitely one of those, it's better if you don't know things.
どうせすぐに別
Because
れる
we'll
んだ
part
し。
ways soon anyway, yeah.
そのと、
なんだか
Exactly.
寂しいな。
It's kinda sad.
お、
Oh,
ちえみちゃん
you
の
want my
メアドを
contact
ご紹介。
info?
くれるならぜひ
I。mean, if you're willing to give.
やったー
Hey,
これ
I'm
で男友達
you got number
53人目。
53 on the list.
テンション
Oh,
ガタ
damn,
落ち
if
で
that
す
ain't a
わ。
letdown. We still went on the exchange our info. I can only hope that being number 53 wasn't as big a problem as it
それ
sounded.
はともかく、個人的興味で言えば、
Still, I'd
何が問
like
題になって
I'd
て、
still like to know the
どん
reason
な
why
背
me
景が
being
あるの
here
か
is,
知
you
りたいの
know,
だけど、
such a big deal.
おすすめしない
I
な。
don't recommend it.
なぜかな。
But
私
why?
が不愉快になるから。
Because it'd make me upset.
あんまり故郷が好きじゃない。
Oh, you don't like it here?
うん。正直、嫌
In
い。
fact, I actually kind of hate it.
ここの人とは仲
Really,
良
you
さ
seem
そ
to get
うに
along
見
with
え
the
るけ
people,
ど、
though.
あ
Ah,
あ、
that's
それ
just
は
how
見
it
えるだ
looks.
けですね。
That was a huge problem,
私相当
child,
の問
so I
題児
feel
だった
kind
ん
of
で、
awkward around the
ご
older
年配
folk
方とは
here.
結構気まずいよ。それに、
And there's
パッ
tons
と
of
見はわ
things you
から
can't
ないい
see
ろ
right
んなしがら
away.
みもあるし、
Oh, but I can't say I
ま
actually
あ、
hate
住人
the
自体は
people.
そんなに嫌いじゃないけどね。
With that, I decided to stop prying about this place any further. I'd back away before she came to
あ、
hate me.
でも、
Oh,
一つだけ
can I
聞いて
ask
い
one
い？
thing, though?
いい度胸。
Ooh, gutsy. Alright, go
室
ahead.
匠さんのこと
You like that
好きだった
Takumi
りす
Muro
る？
guy?
私が
What, me, like him?
うん。
Yeah.
さすがにそれはないな。
He's cool and all, but he's too rugged and over a decade older
ご
than
つ
me.
ぎる
He's
し
out of my
10
strike
以上年下だ
zone.
し対象外です。それに、
And he's
匠兄
always
ち
only
ゃ
had
んは
eyes for
昔から香織
Kaori-san.
さん一筋だし。
やっぱそうなん
Huh,
だ。
sure felt like it. Are they
結
married
婚
or
してるわけ
something?
じゃないの？
うん。
No.
香織さん、未亡
Kaori-san's a
人だか
widow.
ら。
Ah, that seems complicated. That aside, Chamy's been acting a bit strange. Why'd she drag me away from the tea? That seemed awkward too. Yeah, something about the tea specifically seems like a thing. Assuming she hadn't been jealous of Kaori-san and simply didn't want her to charm me, would that mean she just hadn't wanted me to drink the tea then? Why? Also, why'd she feed me cup ramen if I'd just gotten food at the dining hall? If I could've. Yeah, she does not want me eating or drinking anything at the dining hall for some reason. And whatever it is, it's easier to work with if we don't know. Looking too deep into things is part of my nature, though. Things were never as bad as I had assumed. I went on to call my insurance company where I found out something. Apparently this village was hundreds of kilometers away from the nearest service station, so I was ineligible for the normal service and would have to pay extra. Damn it, isn't that always how it goes? And the extra was no small amount. It was over 100,000 yen. Also, I could have avoided this if I'd taken a more expensive plan. This was all my own fault for not taking the Spike Salesman device. Shit. Oh, damn it, yeah, this is how they get you with the add-ons. I said I would consider it and hung up. Then I went back to the dining hall.
あれ、おじいさんたちは、
Where did everyone go? The customers had changed completely. Tai-san, Kanzo, and Takumi were gone now. They were replaced by a caricature of juvenile delinquent.
誰だよてめえ
Hey, who the fuck are you? He shouted at me. Seems like he was trying too hard to sound tough. Then he slammed his bowl and chopsticks on the table and stood up to intimidate me.
久石春明です。
Haraki. Haraki. The hell? You wanna go?
まあ、義継初対面の方に
Goodness.
なんて口の利き方を。
Yoshitsugu, you don't talk like that to someone you've just met.
せえババ
Shut up, your hag. She ain't know. Who the hell is this
バイ
asshole?
クで事故った旅行
Okay,
者
a
の
traveler who
原
crashed his bike here. Boy, was that introduction
さん。
half-assed.
改めて
Let me
こち
introduce
ら
you
織
to.
部香織さんと
This is Kaori
次男の
Orime and her second son,
安永君が長
Yoshitsugu-san.
男ね。
Yusanaga-san's the first.
え、
Yusanaga, the guy you introduced me to this
朝の
morning.
彼。
I see. One's the a picture of the picture of moral compass, and the other's the rebel.
そう
Yep, they may not look it at
よく見たら似てるでしょ？
first, but they're alike, don't you think? The Oribes, what an unpredictable family.
兄貴のこと言ってんじゃねえよ
Stop talking about bro, yo, bitch. Call me that all you want. I'm confident in my popularity. Oh, I love that smug-ass grin she's got. They really did some good work on the expressions, that's for sure. And from what I've seen, that confidence is well justified. Welcome back to the city, you idiot, stupid dumbass. Are you just gonna go through, you know, every curse word you know? Because I need to know if I should just leave. Oh no. Okay, I don't think I can argue with that. What? You were an idiot? Alright then, stupid. You're stupid. Oh, how mean. Join me, Yoshikatsu. What the hell? Don't talk shit about Chiene. You're pretty conflicted, aren't you?
ごめん、ちえみちゃん。
Sorry, Chiene-chan. I
本
was
心
just
じゃないん
playing.
だ。
Wow, one nice rose after another. It takes quite the man to surprise
こ
me.
のちえみをあっけに取られさせるとはなかなかやる。
ちえみちゃんには負けな
I
い
just
ぜ。
don't want to lose to you, that's all. What, are you two dating or something? Boy, did I
いい加
wish.
減になさいよ
Stop it,
失
Yoshitsugu.
業
You're
当に
already
遅刻で
late.
しょ
Change and
着
go
替
to
えて学校
school.
うるせえ
I shut up. I ain't going. Mumbling something, he walked out of the dining hall, leaving his half-full bowl behind.
ごめんなさい
I'm
ね
so sorry about
お
that.
恥ずかしい
How
ところを
embarrassing.
根は素直ないい子なんですけ
He's a
ど
really
ね
good boy deep down, though. Yeah, I could actually see that, somewhat.
あ、
By the
ところ
way,
で
where are
牧島
Makishima
さん
and
とムロさん
Muro-san?
あもうバイ
they went
ク
to pick up
拾
your
い
bike.
に出ましたよ
Well, given we're stuck in the mud, that's very much
まずい
appreciated.
追いかけない
Oh,
と。
I better hurry after them.
場所は分
Yeah,
かってるみた
hey,
い
they
だ
know
っ
where
た
it
し
is. They'll
大
be
丈夫
fine,
じゃない
don't you think?
いや、
Well, you just have to set on
一応
neutral and
ニュートラルに
push,
すれ
but
ば
I'm not sure if
教
they
えるけ
know
ど
how to
さ
do that.
操作わかるのかな。あとさす
And I,
が
of
に
all
手伝
people,
う
should
べき
probably
でしょ。
help. They might go about it the
作業
wrong
が非
way.
効率になっちゃ
Oh,
ま
he's
ずい
worried
し
they'll damage his bike.
その程度なら
Yeah, that's all.
手
You
出しは
shouldn't
なん
bother.
で
Why?
取りも直さ
Because
ず
you're an outsider.
春明さん
I
がよ
wouldn't
そ者だ
suggest
からで
spending
す
too much time alone with
長
them.
時間一緒に歩くのはちょっと
問題になりそうな人たちには思えなかったけど。
そりゃ二人とも
That's
大人
because
だか
they're
ら
adults.
で
Don't
も
assume
基本的
everyone
に
here
こ
is
の
as
ちえみ
welcome
ほ
as
どオ
me,
ープンな人
welcoming
は
as
こ
me.
こにはそうそう
I
いない
am
から
an
ね
exception. I mean, the Kaori's right there, but I have the feeling she'd
春
agree.
明さんは平気か
You
もだ
might
け
get
ど
along fine,
一
but
緒
you
にいる
also
と
might set
向
them
こうが
off.
ストレス溜める
This
かも
place
し
is
れ
already
ない
far from normal.
ただで
Please,
さえ今
don't
普通
risk
じゃな
making
い
it
から
worse.
まあそうね
She's right, I say.
任
They
せろと
insisted you
言
leave
わ
it
れ
to
たら
them, so that's what you should
手
do.
出しをしない方がいいでしょうね
そうなんですか。
So you think so too, huh?
ええ
Yes, the men
休み
here
ず
are
に
pretty
は
serious
休
about
みず
Ya
のやり方
Sumizu
があ
having
る
its own way of doing
男
things.
の人たちはそれにこだわるから
You know, I can somewhat understand that. A visitor should behave like one. Doing anything more would be uncalled for. It was an old-fashioned way of thinking, but this was also an old-fashioned kind of place, that's for sure.
じゃあ、
Ah, well,
どこ
where
で
do we
待とう
wait
か。
then?
うちに戻って待ち
At
ま
my
しょう
place. I expected as much, but it made me curious. Normally, we'd expect to sit around and drink some tea right here, so why aren't we doing that? As we waited, Chemi, casually but uncomfortably, told me several things. First, I found out the people here in Yasumizu were a little on edge right now. The reason for that was the fact that, excluding me, they had 3 whole outsiders here. I assumed this myself from what I knew so far, but apparently yesterday morning a little girl was found straying around the rapids. They couldn't even find out her name, let alone where her parents were, so they didn't know how to handle her. Yeah, that would be a problem. For now, one of the inhabitants is looking after her. Like I'd been told, the more superstitious inhabitants, mainly Tai-san, saw her as a bad omen. I suggested leaving her to the police, but Chami didn't seem to think that was a good idea. It barely made sense to me, but if I were to believe her, things around here were such that not even the cops could really do anything. Plus, they mentioned being isolated, so it'd probably be ages to be able to deliver her there, but at the same time, what choice do you really have? And apparently, there are many 2 outsiders who are a pair of journalists gathering info for a magazine article. Unlike the little girl and I, they came here through the normal route, through Kame Fujiyoshi, and therefore they weren't considered a bad omen or whatever. Still, even normal outsiders put people here on edge. Through this talk, I got some details about the area itself. Here we are. Yasumizu was a settlement as part of an autonomous region called the Fujiyoshi Village, or simply Fujiyoshi. It had also been on the map I'd been shown at the store. Fujiyoshi was split into 2 major areas, Yasumizu and Kami Fujiyoshi. They were separated by the mountain. Going to Kame Fujiyoshi takes about an hour by foot or 20 minutes by car on a winding but paved road. Side note, the school the students went to was in Kame Fujiyoshi. These two settlements had ties so strong they share customs and culture. Jamie said that the local seasonal events are quite unconventional. I asked her to elaborate, but all she would say is that Sumizu had special meaning to Fujiyoshi. She was making me more suspicious than I wanted to be. This conversation wasn't nearly as exciting as the one we had last night. Or at least I found out she didn't have a boyfriend right now. Very intriguing. Yeah, Romeo's really getting thirsty now. It was nearly noon when Takumi-san came back, ending my waiting game. As a side note, the door was fully open the whole time we waited. It was probably Chami's way of saying nothing bad was happening here.
バイクってのはおめえもんだな、おやっさん。
Man, bike's sure heavy, huh?
去年取ったし
Ain't as heavy as the boar I caught last year. I really didn't expect them to just carry it here. Like, sure, there's two of them, but how much mass do you have to haul a 200-kilogram piece of metal so easily? The unpaved road to the river made my sweet ride really damn muddy.
どうやってあの崖を上げたんです
How did you bring off the cliff?
滑車があんだよ。
Oh,
たまに下から
there's
物
a
を引き上げ
pulley.
なき
We
ゃ
bring stuff up from the bottom there every now and then. I wonder if this was a mining town at some point then, if there's a pulley.
おい、匠。
Takumi. Or some other
余計
transportation
な
system.
こと言ってる場合じゃ
Oh
ね
yeah,
え。
now's not the time for that.
これ
Hey,
大丈夫
you
な
think
の
this
か
thing's alright? It looks
だい
pretty
ぶ
damn
水に
wet.
浸っちまったみてえだけど。
どうかな
I'm not sure. I'll have to
見てみます。
check.
じゃああとは任すぜ。
I'll leave the rest to you then.
おやっさん
Oh man, this took longer than I
結構
thought it
かかっ
would.
ちまったから
Is it fine if I do the sharpening tomorrow? I saw them off with a loud thank you. Now then,
とりあえ
need
ず
help?
一人で
I'll
な
see
ん
what I
とか
can
な
do
るか
by
やってみよ
myself first. I guess... I would say you don't need to reject help immediately out of hand like that, but then I remembered he needs to figure out exactly where the problem is lying before he can determine if he's gonna need a hand for it or not. Well, the worst part of the repairs was right at the beginning. I wanted to start by washing it, but that old lady, I got really mad at me. She didn't want any Saranaga mud on the ground here because it was corrupt or something. This plaza was the only easy place to access a water supply tap, so I did my best to convince her to let me wash as close to the edge as possible. Once it was clean, I should start checking what was wrong with it. It actually looked pretty good. I mean, bent in places, sure, but the wash got rid of the bad sound the wheels made. The only problem was that both tires were flat, and it was a pretty big one.
道具とか持ってきてないの
You didn't bring tools?
普
No.
通バイク
Aren't
旅
you
行とか
supposed
って
to
持っ
whenever
て
you
く
go on a
る
bike
もんじゃ
trip?
ないの
いざとなれば
I
ロード
just
サ
thought
ー
I
ビス
could
呼
call
べば
road
いいか
service
な
and they'd do all the work.
的なノリだったんで
不準備
So unprepared.
いや
I have no
返す
excuse.
言葉もない
Honestly, I was having a moment when I went out.
正直や
Didn't
けく
think
そで
things
出発した
through.
から
お
Oh,
事情を聞
can
い
I
てほ
ask
し
what
そう
happened?
彼女に振られたんだよ
My girlfriend left me.
なんか嘘っぽい
That
な
seems like a lie. I don't know, even Romeo and Juliet starts with Romeo having broken up with his previous girlfriend, Rosa. It wasn't.
それはともかく
In any case, yeah, see, it wasn't a lie.
う
Somewhere to get cool tools to fix a flat tire.
ん野里
There
屋
might
敷な
be
ら
some in
あるかもしれないな
Nosato Mansion?
野里屋敷
Nosato Mansion?
うん
Yep, it's the biggest place
一
in
番
all
大きなお家
Yasumizu. If you
Nosato
can't find something there, you
Yasuki
won't find it
Yasumizu
anywhere else in the
にない
village.
なるほど
I see.
じゃ
Alright,
あ
well
そこの
then,
人にお願
let's
いし
give
に
it a
行こ
shot.
うーん
I don't really recommend meeting the
実
guy.
はあんま
I
り会う
can't
の
think
は
of
お
any
すす
other
めできないんだけ
any
ど
other ideas.
背に腹は変えられないか
うまた偉い人が登場
Let me guess, someone important again?
うん
Yep, and he's
その
kinda
上ち
messed
ょっ
up
と
to boot.
人格的にね
And so we walked up to the hill and arrived at this so-called Nosato Mansion. From what I could tell, it was located at the highest point in the settlement, and like Chami said, it was definitely a hell of a building. It had an elegant western design, which would probably look even better if the place was better maintained. The yard was overgrown, building itself was pretty much buried in ivy and small trees. If someone told me it was cursed, I'd instantly believe them. Did people actually live here?
インターホン生きてるかな
I wonder if the intercom works. She pressed a button next to the aged iron gate. Yasumizu was a quiet place, so I could easily hear the bell ring inside.
もう一度押そうか
Should we try again?
やめとこ
Oh, let's
何
not.
度も
We'll
鳴ら
just,
すと
we'll
心
just
象
piss
悪
him
いから
off.
そんなに気難しい人なの？
Moody guy, huh?
そうね。
Moody.
気難しい。
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
いい表現だ。
I wasn't sure what she meant, but I opted to just wait rather than ask more questions. Soon enough, the person in question walked out of the mansion.
誰だ？
What is it? Who are you? He wasn't young, but didn't look middle-aged either. He certainly looked high-strung, that much was sure.
どうも野里さん
Hello, Nasato-san, it's Sarawaza.
知っている。
I know you, Cherry. I'm asking the young man with you.
春明さん
Haruki.
こちら
This
野
is
里清之助さん
Kyonosuke Nasato-san. Kyonosuke, this
事
is
故車の
Haruki.
夫妻子春
He
明
got
さん
into
も
an accident. That introduction was the briefest one yet.
なんだって？
Huh? What? I explained the situation again. He furrowed his brow when I mentioned the Saranoga in addition to the reason we were there.
というわけで、
So I need to repair
早
tools so
々
I can
に
just
ここ
get
から
out of
出
here
て
as
い
soon
く
as
ためにも
possible.
修理道具をお持ちだったら貸していただけないかと。
タイヤはチューブですかね？
Oh, the tire's tubeless.
一応パッチも
I
あ
have
るがね。
patches, but I think
チ
fixing
ューブ
tubeless
タイヤだ
tires
っ
would
た
be a
ら
bit
素
too much
人
for
に
an
は
amateur.
難しいんじゃないの？
Although there's no problem if
で
you
きる
aren't.
ならいいがね。なあ、
Oh, but if
チ
the
ューブ
tubes
がバースト
burst,
して
you'll
か
have
ら
no
交
choice but
換
to
する
change
し
it.
かないが
I。don't have any spares
替
here,
えはさすが
obviously,
に持ってお
and I
らん
wouldn't
よ
even。give them to you if I
譲
did.
る義理もないがね。
Sorry, but I'm not too knowledgeable about
ちょっ
that.
とそのあたりあんまり詳しくないまま乗っちゃったんで。
ちょっと話に
Oh,
な
what
ら
a
ん
waste
で
of time. I recommend spending
お
however
と
many
なしく何
thousands
十
you
万
need to have
かの
a
勉
repairman come
強
up
料
and
を
pick you
払っ
up.
て拾ってもらうのをおすすめしよう。
I had no retort to that.
あ
Oh, but Nasato-san, I don't think we can have any more outsiders come here right now.
今の時期これ以上
は
Huh?
君
Haven't
は
you
間
been to a
違
proper
いだ
city?
ろ。
Don't tell me you
未
still
だにそ
believe
んな
that
もの信
nonsense.
じてるのかね？
Interesting. He doesn't like the outsider, but he's also not superstitious in any way.
うーん
I'd be fine with it.
私はとも
And
か
I
く
doubt the elders
じい
would
さま
be.
ばあさま方
We've
が
had
ちょ
too many visitors these past few
っと
days.
ずつやたら外来者多いですし
Oh man, she's good. She knows how to talk her way through this.
安水の連中の事情は知らんよ。
I don't
私に
care
どう
what
しろ。
you Yasumizu peasants
Eh?
think. What do you expect
油
me to
まみれに
do?
なってパン
Fix
ク
the
修理
tires
しろ
myself
と
and get oil all over me?
いや
Oh, I
そ
never
こまでな
suggest
くて
that.
も
I
藤
just
吉
think
の長者と
that a
して困って
Fujiyoshi
るマロー
village
ドを助
head
ける
should
のに
help
お
a troubled
力添えをい
visitor.
ただけないかと
困った時だけ長者を頼るのではなく、安水流のもてなしでもしたらどうかね。
How about instead of relying on me only when it's convenient, you just give him a traditional Yasumizu welcome? You know, throw him off the cliff. Whoa, what the hell?
いや
Oh,
そんな言っ
come
ちゃダメ
on. You can't say that. Jamie's tone was slightly off. I could feel a bit of irritation behind her words.
本当、
I know
お
it
恥ず
might
か
be a
し
bit
い
of a
限りな
bother.
んですが
Bit of a bother. Could you at least
なんとかして
lend
み
me
る
the
んで、
tools then?
道具だ、
なんだと？
What?
道具やら
I'll
キ
just
ットやら
borrow them. You won't
仮に
hear
入
see
る
me
だけ
work.
で
I'll even pay.
作業は別のところでしますから。もちろん、
まあ、
Well, I don't mind that much, but I'll want compensation for
下手に
anything
物
you
を破
break.
損させたり
Student
し
or
たら
not, I'll
弁
have you
償
act
してもら
proper.
うぞ。学生だか知らんが、きっちりしてもらう。
He then pointed me to the gate and walked back to the mansion.
いや
Oh
ー、な
man,
ん
I
と
thought
か
we were
ならない
screwed
気がし
there.
てきた。
What the hell's a burst
チューブ
tube?
がバーストってなんだろ
春明さんかっ
Wow,
こ悪い
that's so lame.
う。え
Oh, you think every biker can fix a bike by bashing it with a wrench or
して
something?
みせろと。
Well, clearly you just need to channel the engineer from Team Fortress 2 and just fix everything by hitting it with a wrench a few times.
まあわかりませんけど
I don't know, but there aren't a lot of girls out there who are into guys good with.
出したら
Aren't there a lot of
グッ
girls
と
out
くる
there
女
who
は多い
are
ので
into guys good with cars and stuff?
じゃあ、野里氏に
Oh,
は
so you're
グッと
into
きたと。
Nosatoshi?
いや
Nah, he's just acting like he's smart.
あの
He's
人
probably
多
never
分
repaired a
自分
thing in
じゃ
his
整備
life.
もできないよ
He's not nearly as
筋金入りの
experienced as
占
he'd
い
have
業
you
界だ
think.
し
Huh.
じゃあ、なぜ
Then
バ
why
イ
does he
クの
have
整
bike
備用
repair
品なん
stuff?
て。
野里屋敷
The
は
Nosato
上
Mansion is
富士吉に
basically
ある
the
野里家のもっ
Yashimitsu
と
branch of the
大きい
Nosato
お屋敷
family.
から
Their
いら
main
ないも
mansion
のを
is
運んで
in
置いとく
Kami
ような場所ら
Fujiyoshi.
しくてね
Whatever they don't need there, they send over here.
56年前に
I heard
清之助さん
Kyonosuke-san
が
was
単
given
車
a
買って
car
もら
5 or
ったけ
6
ど
years ago, but he
ろ
couldn't
くに
drive it
乗
at
りこ
all.
なせなくて
So
お
it's
蔵
been
入り
gathering
にしたと
dust
か
ever
聞いたこ
since.
とある
Damn, that's the countryside for you. Couldn't hide your shame if your life depended on it. Anyway, I now knew the man was the condescending, pretentious type. I imagine it's no coincidence we're slowly being introduced to everyone. He still helped me out though, and it was true, I don't know much about the bike repairs, so I couldn't really get mad.
さそうと決ま
Anyway,
れば
let's just take out
使
everything that
え
looks
そうな
like
も
could
の
be
は全部
useful.
持ち出してやろうぜ。
さながら山賊
Like
のごと
bandits,
く
huh? I'm in.
私邪魔じゃないかな。
Are you sure I'm not bothering you?
いや、
I
適当
feel
に
down
話
without
してな
anyone
い
to
と
talk
気がめい
to.
るんで。
Just keep chatting with me, it
相槌
really
打ってくれ
does
るだ
help.
けでも助かる。
The instructions that came with the repair kit told me my bike's tires were a rather difficult type to repair. Apparently I had to remove the tires, but where do I even start with that? Well, as long as I didn't break it, nothing I did could be worse than having to call road service down here, so I tried taking it apart. But as I removed whatever nuts, I made the situation worse than it was. Yeah, it really wasn't a job for an
お
amateur.
兄さん大変そう
You seem to
ね。
be having a rough time.
ジェイ
You
ミちゃ
can
ん
eat
も
this
よか
too,
ったら食べてね。
Jamie-chan.
ありがとうございます。
なんか大事
Whoa,
にな
this
って
looks
んな。
serious. Man, machines are just no
や
good.
っぱダメだな。
まあ怖い
Hey, the benefits of culture are as great as long as they don't break.
便利だけどね。
Munch, munch.
日暮れまで。
I think you can fix it before sundown.
うん。
That might be hard.
厳しいか
Don't
も。
worry though. Worst come to worst, I'll do
最悪
something.
なんとかするから安心して。
Well, I appreciated how she handled the villagers in my stead.
なあ、知恵ね。
Hey,
バイク
Chiene,
って
is it hard
免
to
許
get a
簡
bike
単に取れ
license?
んの？
Alright, you can't be a proper or rebel punk without a bike.
どう
I
だろ
don't
う。
know. I know scooter licenses are easy. I have one
私も持
myself.
ってるし
Munch, munch.
中型大型の二輪は結構
Mid-sized
面
bike
倒いよ。
licenses are pretty hard to
普
get.
通
You
免
even
許
have to
取
take
る
a
のと
course
同
like
じ
with
学科講
cars.
習
Do
もあるし。
you like bikes?
バイク好きなのかい？
What the hell? What's the matter with you? How much was that anyway?
これは新車で
800,000 yen.
80
Brand
万くらいか
new.
な。
Holy shit! That's way too high! You an idiot or what? How'd you get that much?
まあ
Part-time
バ
jobs
イト
and
と
all
か頑張っ
that.
たから。
そんな新車が事故
And you
った
got
なん
into an
て。
accident. Poor
ハロ
Haruki.
ーさん、気の毒。
Munch, munch.
ちえみ先生、
Jamie
さっ
Sensei,
き
mind if
か
I
ら
ask
気に
what
は
happened
な
to
っ
my
てた
share
ん
of
だ
the
けど。
food? Oh,
先
no,
生
at
思わ
all.
ず
Poor
全部食べちゃった。
Haruki-san.
春秋さん、気の毒。
I didn't want sympathy from the one responsible. As I told her off for not leaving me food, I somehow removed the tires. I could only hope I'd been able to fix this up. I had had this thing for less than a month, but the trouble it was putting through made it feel somewhat dear to me. I wanted to fire it up again and go as fast as I could. Suddenly I heard an engine, like it was mocking me. Wait, an engine here? I stopped working and turned around to see an unfamiliar van driving the plaza. Barring the classic-looking piece of junk in Nosato's garbage, this was the first time I'd actually seen a car here. $8,000 for something brand new isn't bad. Indeed. As far as I knew, no one living here actually owned a running car, which
さっき
means...
言った記者さんたちだね。
Oh, these are the journalists I told you about. I knew it. Once the van stopped, a lady stepped out of
こん
it.
にちは。
Hello? Oh, she's pretty.
どうも、今日もご迷惑をおかけします。
I'll be bothering you again today. Oh,
これまで
your
見ない
new
お方ね。
face.
どうも
Hello, my name is
自己
Haruki.
春秋です。
Haruki bike crash. Hey, don't be so hard on yourself. Huh? Oh crap, that was no time for an inside joke. I quickly introduced myself properly this time.
ちょっとその
I
辺で事
crashed
故り
not
ま
too
した
far
ね。
away, so I'm stuck here for the time being.
なるほど。
I see, so you're a
学生さん
student.
ね。
Sorry for the trouble you're
今は
going
災
through.
難だった
Oh,
わね
and this is me. She gave me
ち
your
なみ
business
に
card.
私はこういうものです。
Hisako Mamiya, a freelance writer. Her pen name was Kyoko Hosei.
ちなみに読んだこ
Have
と
you
ない
ever read Kyoko
北条
Hosei's
九子の
articles?
記事
Sorry.
だよね。
I figured I'm not a big
まだまだ
name
マイ
yet,
ナーだし
and the magazines I do get
そもそも
printed in are
ビジ
marketed
ネス
for
だし
housewives and the
主婦向
elderly.
けとシニア向けだし
Hey, every step forward's a step forward.
それは難易度
That's a
高
pretty
い
intense
な。
competition.
ちな
What do
み
you
に
write anyway?
何を書いておられるんです？
フードレビュー
Food reviews. I specialize in unusual dishes.
あれですか？
Foodie writer then,
世
huh?
界で一番
Like
臭
the
い缶詰とか、
foulest smelling
そういう
canned food in the entire world or something?
そうそう
Yep. Well, your usual band of weirdness doesn't attract much attention these days, so I'm looking for minor culinary oddities local to Japan.
そんなわけで
Anyway, if you know any weird dishes from your hometown, do tell me. I'd travel the length of Japan to give it a try.
どこでも行くから
えーと、
A student from the lab I frequented once made a pork miso soup with a mushroom we found on campus. We had some mass hallucinations. Had no flashes of brilliances or poisons, please. Yeah, that sounds like bad news written all over it. As we chat, I became curious. By the way, weren't there 2 of you?
お二人とか。
Ah, yeah, I'm here with a partner. He just needs some time to... Oh, there he is.
来た来た。
So I looked over at the van and became completely awestruck. Felt like the van had shed its skin or something. Wait, that made no sense. How does this fit in here? He was gargantuan. Takumi-san was something, but this man was a level of a foreign heavyweight wrestler. Though, unlike Takumi, this man was primarily fat rather than muscle. As he walked out of the driver's seat, the van shook wildly.
写真家の橋本雄大さんよ。
Yudai Hashimoto-san, photographer. He's way more famous than I am.
オールラウンドで
He works in all sorts of fields. I imagine you might have seen some of his photos without even knowing it. I didn't know much about photography, but I was convinced. There was definitely a certain of authority or gravity around him. He wasn't saying a word, and I couldn't tell what he was
どうも
thinking.
はじめまして。
Nice to meet you.
久石春明です。
I'm Haruki. Was he even alive?
どうも。
Hello. After a strange pause, he lowly bowed like the moving mountain that he was and greeted me with a voice like a titan. He seemed somewhat difficult to
今日で
interact
最
with.
終日でしたっけ？
Oh, this is your last day here, isn't it?
オリレさんが秘蔵のシシナレを当ててくださるってこ
And
と
she
な
let
の
me
で、
try her prize sushinere.
よその人に耐え
I
ら
don't
れ
know
る
if
か
an
な。
outsider can handle it.
まあ、胃薬も持って
I
き
have
て
my
るから
stomach
大
medicine.
丈夫
I'm
ですよ。
sure I'll be fine. And so, Mamiyashi and Hashimoto walked off the dining hall. Who would have thought that such a beauty was a delicacy hunter? I had to admit, the gap was kind of charming. As intrigued as I was, though, I couldn't waste any more time. I had to fix my bike already. Whoa. A lot of things that surprised me here in Yasumuzu, but nothing as much as
も
this.
しもし。
Hello. No reaction. At first glance, he looked like a poor man too senile to think or perceive
何
properly.
かご用
Do
ですか。
you need something from me? I made sure to speak as clearly as possible. Didn't look like he understood. I figured it was best just ignore him and resume pairs, but... Coming. I look at him again. He was just standing there like his soul and brain had left his body. A vacant stare, yellowed eyes, half-open mouth covered in saliva. Coming. He spoke
何
again.
が
What's
来るんです。
coming? Though... The what? His voice is too hoarse to make
何
out.
ですって。
Come again? Placed my hand against my ear. Finally understood that I wanted, prepared to whisper something. I brought my ear closer and... The wolf is coming! A sudden shout caught me off guard, made me fall to the ground. He looked down at me laughing. He clapped and opened his half-toothless mouth to a wide smile. The wolf is coming! The wolf is coming! He bent his body in a weird way and laughed like he was convulsing, turned around, and just left.
春明さん。
Oh,
あー
I'm too late. Jamie had joined the journalists and I was only just coming back.
何が遅かっ
Late
た
for what?
おじいちゃん。
Gramps over there loves messing with strangers like that. Wait, that's your grandpa?
いやいや、
Oh, no, no, no,
本
no,
名
no.
も知らないんだ。
I don't even know his name, actually. He's been in Yasumizu forever, and he's always been like
あ
that.
んな感じ。
ボケて
It
る。
felt less like he was just messing around and more like he's a bit,
あの人。
touched.
うん。
Yeah, everyone just calls him the
Okami-jiji
old man who cried wolf. Oh, so if he says that to everyone, then that's a problem, because that means if a wolf actually does show up, it's gonna be a problem. Although, wait a minute. Hold on. Japanese wolf. Yeah, the Japanese wolf is 100% extinct. I thought I remembered that tidbit of information, but I googled it right now just to be sure. Unfortunate. The BGM sounds like that Lowrider song. Huh. Well, now that you mention it, yeah, I see what you mean. Named after the boy who cried wolf, I assume. Doesn't work as well, though.
狼。
Wolves, huh?
ね
As far as I knew, there were no wolves in Japan. There used to be, but after the last sighting near the Meiji Showa era, they've been considered extinct here. Ah. You know what? Leave it to me to Google something out of sheer curiosity only for the game to straight up say it right away. Granted, I didn't look up when they went extinct, but yeah. Modern Japan's images of wolves come from Western fairy tales and the like. It wasn't linked to anything in our culture or life. Even The Boy Who Cried Wolf is itself a Western tale. This brand of insanity caused him to repeat the tale or something. A bit weirded out by the circumstances, I went back to repairing my bike. After a bit more time, I somehow took the rubber off and removed the tubes. Both tires were pierced by some really rusty nails. This kind of stuff only happens the worst of times, I swear it. Then I applied patches and filled them with air using a manual pump. I wet the tubes. There were no bubbles, which means no air was leaving them. So things were looking good. Okay, good. If they're not punctured, that's really good. After the high schoolers came back from school and passed by, no one else stopped by to talk. Jamie was looking a bit bored
なんと
now.
かなりそうかも。
I think I got it.
嘘
Seriously? But it seemed so hopeless a minute ago.
悪かった
Well,
ね。
sorry,
これを
princess.
組み立て
Though
直
I
す
still
っ
need
て
to
お
rebuild
仕
this.
事が残ってる
That's gonna be a lot of work. I've had to repair a few tires myself, although granted those were car tires. They're a bit easier to work with, but granted I was also shown how to do it, so that was a bit easier.
それが終わったら出発でき
And
そう
you'll be able to leave then, right?
そうだね。
Yeah, believe me, I know I
長居する
shouldn't
とま
stay
ずそう
here
なのは
long.
よく
I
わか
can
った
take a
し。
hint.
そう
That's
よかった
great. She didn't seem to care that much. Guess I had no chance with her,
も
huh?
う何時間も本を
Keeping
詰
at
めっ
this,
ぱな
at
し
this
でし
for
ょ
hours.
大丈夫
How are you holding up? Need a break?
昼食
Well,
休
I'd be
憩
better
の
if
機会
certain
が
someone didn't take
誰
away
か
my
さんに
lunch
奪われ
break.
たこともあってね。
Yeah, I don't think that was by accident. I'm pretty sure it was yet again an attempt to prevent me from eating whatever, to prevent us from eating the food of whatever is here.
代わりにクラッカ
Hey,
ー
I
を
gave you
あげ
some
たじゃない
crackers,
です
didn't I?
か
Like that's enough to say to a guy in his mid-20s.
まあ、
Still,
僕
I'm
は
pretty
大丈
fine.
夫。
I'll push forward a bit
もう
more.
一頑張り
You
す
can
る。
go if you want. I've
君
been
ももう
introduced to
い
just
いよ。
about everyone here.
大体の人とは顔合わせしたような気がするし。
多分あと2人会
There's
っ
two
てない
people
人
you
がい
have
るか
not
も
met yet. Really? I guess there's no
も
need
うちょ
to
っとい
then,
る
right?
よ
I'll
どう
stay
せ
around a
暇
bit
だから
longer.
帰
I
ってき
came
たわ
back
け
here
だ
because I was
し
bored.
そういう
It's
こ
not
と
like
な
I'm
の
busy.
52人の
Couldn't
男
you
友
play
達
around
と
with your
遊ぶ
52
選択
guy
肢はなかったの
friends?
前言撤回
I take it back. I came back because I wanted to be bored.
街暮ら
Living in the
し
city
が
is so
面倒も
annoying
多
and
くて
tiring, especially with
52
52 guys texting you all the
メー
time.
そっ
Oh,
52
sorry, I lied about the 52 guys.
なんでそんな嘘を
Why? Oh, yeah, that's the thing he gets offended over.
春明さんに対
Because
す
I
る
wanted to keep you in check, I guess. Why would she pull a tactic like that only to reveal her hand?
ねえ彼女に振られた
Hey,
っ
did
て
you really get
本
dumped by your girlfriend? And now she asked me that?
本当だって。
Yeah, I did. Honest.
当？うん。
I see. After that relentless assault, it wouldn't be fair unless I played my own
なんな
card.
らこれ、
Want to come with?
これって2
It's a
人乗りなんだ。
two-seater.
もちろん。
Yeah.
一
There's
応
even、an extra
タン
helmet.
デム用の
It's
ヘルメット
not
も
dry
潰して
yet
きて
though.
るし、まだ乾いてないけど。僕はこのまま
I'm
ここを
obviously
出て
leaving
いくか
soon,
ら、
so unless you have something
その分
planned,
で
you could always
ち
join
みちゃ
me.
んも外に出るのが都合良ければってことになるけど。ついでに、
We can even go on a bike
Road
tour.
touring
If we have enough time, I could
時
take you
間さえあれば
anywhere.
どこへだって行くよ。
Flexible, open to fine tuning, wild, and charming. This was a good date invitation if I say so
いい
myself.
ね。素敵。
That sounds great.
都合
And I have no
問題ないよ。
plans.
じゃあ荷物
I'll
を
go
止め
get
て
my
くるね
stuff。then. She smiled and turned around to head to her place. She then looked back at me and,
急いだ方がいいよ。
you should hurry before I change my
千恵美
mind.
さんの気が変わらないうちにね。
はいはい。
Yeah,
もちろん。
sure. Well, that made me motivated. This was one tiring trip, but at least I met someone good along the way. I just forget everything I didn't want to remember while on the road with her. I could only hope the clever girl and I would go closer. With that ulterior moment in mind, I resumed rebuilding the bike. I imagine she has a similar ulterior motive, if we're honest. But I guess at least they're on the same page. After several failed attempts, I was finally making good progress in putting it back together. Afternoon passed, it was almost evening. At the rate I was going, I'd definitely be working while it was dark. Would that even be possible? It might even go past midnight by the time I was done. Shame might dump me for that. Man, life sure is hard. The plaza I was working in was now totally empty. There was no one around me. All I could do was hear the wind, frogs, tools in my hand. It was desolate to say the least. Yeah, I need to grab a sip of my drink. Give me a moment here, please. Alright, feeling a bit better, but my throat's definitely starting to get sore. I'll keep going until I run out of water, I guess. I suddenly felt really weak. It made me keenly aware of being in a place I didn't belong and that I was preparing to escape. It was an oppressive atmosphere, like the bars of a cage were slowly swinging shut. What's this, Haruka? Think you're gonna get attacked or something? I tried to laugh it off, but it didn't work. As I became more conscious of my surroundings, I began to hear things I didn't notice before. I heard a voice. Someone was singing. It was an inarticulate little girl's voice. I stopped my work. Before I knew it, I put my tools down and gone looking for the source. Was I that starved for human presence, or did the malaise make me feel like I was in danger? Or it's a siren. You never know when a siren song will show up. I walked down the hill where the song came from, passing the tall grass. I arrived. Guardians It was a strange sight. The field was covered in tall grass. There were countless rocks peering out of it. Unlike the boulders all over Yasumizu, these were only up to my waist. They looked like gravestones. 6, the badger hums along, great with an array of bricks. Okay, I can't sing. I'm sorry. The field extended this dusky western sky before ending in a cliff. This was the lowest spot in Yasumizu, the border to the Saranaga. There was a large pine right at the edge. Ate the donut, bologna, rice, snows on the mountain. The evening sun, the stones, and the pine shadow gave the field a strange aura. A little girl was running through it. Her steps were awkward. At this moment, the space was alien. It felt like I was looking at a George Chiricot painting. The place felt like it didn't belong in this world. Oh no, did you accidentally walk to a parallel dimension? Damn, that keeps happening. I came to understand that this place was special. It was sacred, mystical ground where no outsiders were welcome. The girl fell. Are you okay? Run with no hesitation, the little girl. Help up, half crying, muddy clothes. New, half crying, new. Oh, it's not. Console, little girl, push away, run, welcome. Are we inputting code? Are we putting orders into code? Up here as girl saw once me. Prepare for the feast when the evening mists arrive. Girl, weave incomprehensible phrase, hide behind. Little girl, hide behind. Here it is, eyes. Run. Girl, hug little girl, warn me. You probably won't make it, but run. Me, a girl behind. Mist. So we have to stay behind the mist is what I'm getting out of this. Turn around, run. Where? In a daze, I came back to the plaza. Suddenly, Chami shook me, bringing me back to senses. Where were you? Sorry, I'll finish the job now. It's too late, you idiot. Won't make in time. You gotta hide. I couldn't understand what she was getting at. What are you doing? Go to your room right now. Haruki-san is... Oh, forget the outsider. Forget the outsider. Old man Konzo and I'll check the other places. Stop wasting time and go back to yours. Couldn't understand. What were these people doing? What scared them so much? It didn't take long for me to find out. I looked down from the Saranaga. The field beyond I'd just been came a rising haze. It was so dense you could easily call it mist. It moved strangely like a living creature as it flowed the plaza. Haruki-san, over here. Jamie pulled me by the hand. Alright, so the two people we hadn't met yet. One was the mysterious priestess, the one that tried to warn us to run when we arrived, and the other was the little girl that was mentioned. Pulled me by the hand. What's going on? My head feels like it weighs a ton. Oh no, if this is the mist from Digimon Survive, we're already dead. Deal with it, we gotta find a place you can lock the doors. You'll die if you don't. What do you mean? Tell me. Please don't ask questions, just do as I say. Just this once. Albeit hesitantly, I did as she said. We ran up the hill and crossed a rice field path until we made it to a simple This should be fine. Seriously, what's going on? I'm sure that was a hell of a miss, but this won't protect me, right? Listen, there's no time to explain. Just do what I say, and only what I say. Get in there, lock yourself in, stay in the entire night, and do not make a sound. My mind was pretty clear at this point, so much that I began to wonder why it was clouded till now. Because of that, I could understand exactly what Chiemi just said, despite how weird it was. I could also see she was desperate. I need a bunch of keys for any other option. Now that's a hell of an order. So you know, pulling that off is pretty hard. But I do it like a good reward and an explanation. I mean, I think the explanation should be fine, alone. Sure, I'll tell you everything. So please, survive the night. Holy crap, it really is the murder arms from Digimon Survive. The words, the teary smile, none of it looked fake. See ya, you gotta hurry, right? Yeah. Haruki-san, what? I'll tell you tomorrow. Leaving me one hell of a homework assignment, Chiemi ran off. The plaza was covered in mist. I could see it rising, take over the fields too. Anyway, a promise is a promise. 10 minutes later, I began to wonder what I was doing. Was I really supposed to spend the night here? This house wasn't like a prefab you'd find in construction sites. It was just a shack built by hand. It merely happened to have a toilet unit installed. It was Japanese style, so I couldn't even sit down. All I could do was stand. Another problem, it was the type of toilet that periodically had to be pumped empty, so the smell was really bad. Ugh, I had to deal with being in outhouses for extended periods to hide from things before, so I know exactly this. Sure, there was cover on the toilet unit. Without any kind of air freshener, the smell of ammonia would only do so much. The only good thing about here is if I had to go, well, mission complete, but what of it? Again, was I really supposed to spend the whole night? The question made me realize how stupid this was, and again making assumptions to make this easier. Was I being pranked? Was everyone here just crazy? Hell, the mist already filled the surroundings. There's no way the shabby outhouse protected me from it. The air already felt misty and damp. The temperature here was so low I could still bear it somewhat, but staying here all night would make me all wet. Again, I wasn't safe from the mist here. That considered, I'd probably be better off sleeping in the grass outside than staying here. The reasonable part of my mind urged me to stop playing along with these hicks. However, in there, lock yourself in, stay the whole night, do not make a sound. Yeah, the way she said it, and the fact she said do this and only this, makes it clear something is up. Sure, I'll tell you everything. So please, survive the night. My sense of duty made it hard to break the promise I'd made for her. Actually, that wasn't quite true. It's more, I was intrigued by the prospect of learning more of this place. Anyway, I took the time to compile what I'd found out today. This was the Yasumizu settlement, a special part of Fujiyoshi. It was situated right next to the Saranaga Rapids, the river. The people living here were Chiemi Serizawa, Yasunaga Oribe, his family, Kaori Oribe and Itsugu Oribe, Shikamochi Kamoshida, Haru Makishima, her granddad, Kanzo Makishima, Tamayaki, Takumi Muro, Kiyonosuke Nasato. Seemed like he was from Kaji Fuyoshi, the place on the other side of the mountain, but for whatever reason, he lived here now. And finally, the old man who cried wolf. Those were the 11 people I'd met, and Shamey said I had 2 more left. That could only mean the 2 I'd met by the pine were those ones. The little girl, she's probably the child that strayed into Saranaga yesterday morning. And then there was the fantastical-looking white-haired woman clad in strange clothing. With those piercing red eyes. She's probably the one I'd seen in the morning. And the fact I'd seen her twice made it likely she was indeed real, but with how mysterious this place was, I could not rule out the possibility she might have just been an illusion. Well, it does seem like Romeo has had hot girls on the mind lately, so maybe he's just trying to think of more of them. According to Shamey, the little girl was being looked over by someone in the village, so I can only assume the white-haired woman was the one. If I counted the little girl, that would mean Yasumizu had 13 inhabitants. There were the 2 journalists, Hisako and Yudai. Add me to that, and you have a total of 3 outsiders, but I'll have to put that aside for now. Anyway, time for an assessment. Yesterday morning, a little girl strayed into Saranaga. To make it worse, no one, not even herself, knew anything about her, so she instantly got branded as an ill omen. The next day, Shamey, who was at Saranaga, found me there. They recognized me as a proper lost person, but since I came through Saranaga, I was branded as an ill omen as well. From what Kyonosuke Nasato said, it was safe to assume that it used to be customary to throw people like us into the Saranaga. Probably something from way, way back that they don't even consider these days. Or at least that's the hope. If it is, then we're really in trouble. And then there's the mist. The girl said mysterious, prepare for the feast when the evening mists arrive. I can only assume it is related to the same superstitions. After all, the mist came from the Saranaga itself. It and the river seem central to local customs and ideas. With that in mind, how's it dangerous? What was gonna happen now? Yomibido, as in the people from Yomi, the ancient Japanese land of the dead. Dead people come back from Saranagas, and they were corrupted. Well, that gave some room for some wild ideas. Was there some sort of pathogen that rose up with the mists? It turned people to zombies? Was I about to become part of Japanese Resident Evil? Wait, that was already Japanese. Damn you. Damn you, Sutherland. What if you had 10% chance to be inflicted by the mists, but 100% chance to be infected by another person? That would explain why people isolate themselves. If I became a zombie, I probably wouldn't even have the mind to unlock the door. So basically, by locking myself and quarantining myself? I hadn't put that much thought into it, but I guess that seems like a good enough story. Sure, stuff like the boulders and the wolves don't really fit anywhere into my idea, but it's still interesting. Then again, I knew this was Hicksville and all, but would a superstition that science could explain so easily really survive the modern world? It just seems so weird.
今から一晩
In there, lock
ここに
yourself
入
in,
って
stay the whole night,
鍵を
don't
かけ
make
て
a sound.
絶対に物音一つ立てないで
Don't make a sound. To be frank, the reason why I spent so much time in these delusions is because I was scared of things I didn't know or understand. In the past, people used to attribute stuff like that to natural phenomena and diseases to gods, devils, yokai, and do nothing but fear them. They were scared of these manifestations of monsters and whatnot, but on the other hand, it was better than not seeing or not knowing what they really were. The fact you could die to things you couldn't see or understand made life really unreasonable and unfair. That was why it was logical to give things names and mental images in order to recognize and memorize them. Yeah, humans are pretty good at naming and organizing things. My fear of things I didn't know was the same, except I wasn't satisfied with just labels and hypotheses. I needed to see the truth. That aside, what I was feeling right now wasn't a fear of the unknown. It was a realistic, practical fear of something that actually could endanger my life.
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて
Get in
絶対
there,
に
lock in,
物
stay
音
the
一つ
night,
立てな
don't
いで
make a sound. That meant that outside lurked something dangerous that could hear sounds. Perhaps it was so-called dead that rose from the river, or maybe, assuming I was right with the Saranoga sickness, it was people who came out and beat the shit out of those diseased who didn't follow the rules. Wolf was coming. Perhaps the wolf is a title given to the killer. Suddenly I heard a scream in the distance. Guess we only have one choice. Wow, that was some timing. Or I was to form a new hypothesis. The proof connected all suddenly came to me, and it was right outside. It had gotten dark. There were no lights anywhere. Darkness is fear. Unperceived is unknown, which is dangerous and scary. But even this place was dangerous. Dangerous is scary. Scary equals scary equals scary equals scary. Scary things are scary no matter how much light you apply. But I couldn't discard my desire to know the fear and conquer it. Clearly, we'll just have to punch the wolf and hope for the best. I opened the door and stopped in place. The night wasn't absolute darkness. No matter how dark or cloudy, the sky always gives a bit of light. However, I came to understand it can be hard to see even if there is light. Everything I saw was covered in dense mist. Coming out of the pale moonlight, it made the air seem milky. It made it hard to get around. Regardless, I couldn't ignore the scream. There was something beyond this veil. I kept moving forward. Unless my eyes were deceiving me, it belonged to a woman come from the right. I couldn't let myself think that, or rather, I didn't want to think that it could have been her. The unknown was scary. Person I found the principle made my life really easy. I had more than enough fear from those which were directly threatening my life. I really didn't want to have the fear of losing someone as well. Change your line of thought, Haruki. Solving the mystery might save someone. 2 birds, 1 stone. I began walking faster. Another scream was close. I realized I had to find a way to protect myself. I was unarmed, so I looked at anything to use as a weapon. I felt around to see if there was a branch or something. All I felt was grass. I went deeper in search of the ground itself. Soon I found hard. A rock. A moment digging. Later I took it to hand. It was a bit smaller than my hand. I almost teared up how useless it seemed, but it was better than nothing. I looked at the base of my feet and saw the grassy ground. I could easily move forward if I checked the ground using my feet. Since I might have been close to danger, I had to focus on what was ahead. I recognized the danger, and if possible, get rid of it. I concentrated entirely on that and stepped forward. I couldn't hear the screams anymore, but I could hear other things. A wet sound, and the sound of something cracking. It filled my mind with countless things I don't want to imagine. Even so, I kept walking forward until I saw it. Oh. Oh! My hypotheses were nothing but delusions, it would seem. The truth really was something you had to see for yourself. But why was this so scary in spite of being true? It was not supposed to exist. It can't exist. After all, it was a wolf with a humanoid body. And there's no such thing as werewolves, right? The next morning, in a paddy field in Fujiyoshi, Yamazu, 3rd block, someone discovered a thoroughly mangled corpse. The clothes nearby led to this conclude was the traveler, Haruki Washi. He's still moving. Strangely enough, I could perceive that particular moment. Purge him! And so, bye. Was finished off by the girl. The feast begins. Last thing I heard, I'll handle. Was that? Unveiled arrival. Obtained key 2, Werewolf and Resurrection. You can view in the key list. The route unlocked by this key is represented by the same number on the scenario chart. Bad ending number 2. Watch the hint corner. I have no idea what this is, so let's just check out what it is exactly.
Yo.
There, you done now, eh, Chief? Me? Ah, don't mind me. I'm just an insignificant interface character. You can call me Sheep. This is a space between dreams. That bastard Haruka, I can't see it, so feel free to kick back and relax. That said, you can't stay too long. I'm a busy guy, so let's get down to business. Why am I getting flashbacks to the game Catherine? As you expect of a hint corner, I'm here to give some helpful advice in your times of need. Well, I guess I could have also made a Cult of the Lamb reference. First, let's get all the game explanations out of the way. Well, I did say you've done it now, just before, you were actually kind of fated to arrive here from the start. Yeah, I kind of got that idea when I saw that I didn't really have any other alternative options. I mean, you only had one choice, right? There should have been one below it, but it had a lock, and you couldn't pick it. Oh, but just so you know, redoing Chamey's idiotic quiz is pointless. None of those choices change a thing. I think it was explained to you back in the tutorial, but let's review Raging Loop structure, just in case. Oops. Clicked aside to try and check chat there. Sorry about that. Alright, so the quiz. As you experience for yourself, you will definitely die in Raging Loop. Gee, thanks, buddy. But yeah. Okay, so good to know that her little silly little quiz doesn't count. I imagine it was... I didn't know if it would or not. I just kind of chose the simplest option there. So that was basically just a tutorial thing, I guess. But I imagine the first choice while on the road, the option other than forgetting was definitely a path split. Why is that? Because many choices are locked. You need keys to unlock them.
それを開くためには対応するキーが必要だからさ。キーはシナリオ
These
中に
keys are
散ら
spread
ば
throughout
って
the
る。
story. You'll need to
手に入るときは
you'll need to
大
die to
体
obtain most of them.
命と引き
That's
換
why
えさ。
death is unavoidable.
だから死は不可避ってわけだ。どうやら
It
久
seems
石
Haruki
春
can
明の
retain
野
his
郎は
memories for
死
the
んでも
next
記
time,
憶を
even if he
次に持
dies.
ち越せるらし
This
い
is
な。
a system to replicate
それを
that.
再現したシステムってわ
Oh
けだ。
yeah, definitely getting the Zero Escape vibes out of this, and I love it.
つうわけで、羊さんから大
So
将への
here's my
最
first
初
piece
の
of
ア
advice
ド
to
バイ
you.
スだ。
If you get stuck,
行き詰ま
try
ったら死ん
dying.
でみろ。
I don't know, now's not the time to be dead.
数あるバッ
There
ド
are
エ
many
ンド
keys
の
lying
中に
within
は
the story's
キ
many
ーが
bad
手に入
endings.
る
You
もの
can
も
also
多い。
obtain some keys from
意
some
外な結末
surprising
からキ
outcomes.
ーが手に入ることもあるだろうさ。
Does that mean there's going to be a dog was behind everything type of ending? Wait, that was Silent Hill, not Resident... Wait, Sutherland is... Damn it, Sutherland is Silent Hill, not Resident Evil. Wow, I'm an idiot. Should have listed Redfield or her, one of the others.
もちろん
Of
全部
course,
のバ
possible
ッ
to
ド
get
エ
all
ン
the
ドを見
keys
な
and
くて
finish the
必
game
要な
without
キ
seeing
ー
all the
を
bad
集めて
endings,
最
but
短クリアする
I'll
こと
leave
は
that
可
up to your
能だ。
playing style.
遊び方は任せるぜ。で、
As for bad ending number 2, also known as Toilet Man's End,
題して
well, you need key number 2 in order to avoid it.
についてだが、回避するにはキー2が必要だ。だが、
But that won't be a problem for next time you notice. You already obtained key number 2 by dying
ここで死んだ
here.
とすでに大将はキー2を入手してる。キー2
You
の
can check the
内容
details
は
of key 2 in the keys list in the menu,
メ
so
ニ
you
ュ
can
ーの
check it
中
out
に
there.
キーってボタンがあるからそこで見てくれりゃいいんだが要
Oh,
は
but basically,
夜出歩
Corke
いた
now
ら
knows
死ぬってこ
from
とを
experience that he'll die if he goes out at night, and that's what makes this new choice possible.
だからこそ新しい選択が可能になった
Alright.
この手の
You'll find more bad endings that are forced to play through
今後も
first
何
in the
回かあった
future,
ら
so keep
そ
that
こ
in
んとこは
mind.
承知しといてくれな一方
Other times, you keep going onwards for a long time without finding a key.
キーが手に入
Whenever
る
you
と
get
き
a
は
key, it's
赤文字
displayed
で
with
でっか
large
く表
red
示されるから
letters, so remember that
今後も
part
注
too.
目だぜこの後だが
Haruki Fusai will be sent back at the starting point after this. In other words, just seeing the start of the game with him on his bike.
バイクで迷ってるし
And that's where the
あ
loop comes from.
最初から読
You
み
can
直して
reread
もい
everything
い
from
が
the start if you'd like, but if you're gonna
今
die
後何
dozens
十
of
回
times
も死ぬこと
from
にな
now
るか
on,
ら
so it'll be a pain to have
こ
to
の度
reread
に
each
読
and
み
every
直してから
time.
大変だだから
So once
あ
you
る
get a grip
程
of
度
the
状況を
situation,
把握したら
use the
シ
scenario
ナリオチャ
chart
ー
in
トを
order to
使って
jump ahead.
ぐっとジャンプしちゃってくれ大将が
You can
一
jump
度
to
読
any
み
scene
切
you've
った
read
シーン
before,
なら
whenever and
いつで
wherever you
も
want.
どこでもど
It's
こからで
really
もジャン
handy.
プが可能だ例えば今
For example, you can open the menu, press the chart, go to Q, follow the scream and dense mist. Even right now, this moment.
悲鳴を追うかに飛んで OK だシナリオチャ
Use
ー
the
トから
scenario
のジャ
chart
ン
to jump
プを
around.
ガン
That's
ガン
basically the
活用
key
す
to
るのが
completing
ベー
Raging
ジング
Loop.
ループ攻略のコツかもなちなみにここまで
Incidentally,
で
this marks the end of 2 Dense Mist. The so-called
What?
prologue is
今
over.
は小手調べ導入が終わったってわけだ今回
If you pick the choice that was unlocked this time, the game's first main route, 3 Yomi, will begin.
読み
Good
が
luck.
始まる頑張れよ次にロック
Next
さ
time
れ
you
た
come
選
across
択
a
肢
locked
が出て
choice,
きたら
look to the right side. You should see a number of the key you need to unlock it.
開く番号はシナ
The
リオ
number
チ
appears
ャ
on
ー
the
トにも
scenario chart
表示
too,
さ
so
れ
it
る
makes it clear what's locked and
ど
what
こ
key
がロック
numbers
さ
you
れてる
need.
のか
Handy
何
system,
番
huh?
のキーがいるか
Yeah, sounds good to me.
当然だ親切設計だろちなみに
By the way, here's a
こっ
little
そり
tip.
教えてやるけど 1が手
You
に
won't be
入
getting
る
key
のは
number 1 for a very long time. You didn't miss anything, so just relax and keep playing to your heart's
進ん
content.
でやってくれ。
Ah, I get it. So the choice to have him remember at the very start of the story, the one that leads to a different ending completely, that one I won't be finding out for a long time.
ずいぶん
It
長
took
く
a
なっちま
while,
った
and I'm busy.
俺は忙しいってのによ。つうわけで
Well, that's enough for me this
今回
time.
はここま
Die
で。
another hearty death
次も
next
元気に
time.
死んでこい。そういう夢だった。
Guess it was just a dream, right?
次はもっと
Do better next time.
羊が1匹、
One sheep, two sheep.
羊が2匹。
Time for the chart. Oh no, recall is number 4. None. Tutorial. Start. Don't remember. Monday. Objective. Oh wow. You need a ton of keys in order to refuse to hide in the outhouse. Feast begins. And it's now marked with a skull. What was that? It sounded like someone's life was in danger. It meant something dangerous was nearby. Wait, I can't be rash. The world didn't have many things that logic couldn't explain, like the existence of murderers, but until I saw the source of the scream, it was nothing but a source of fear.
今から人は
Get
ここ
in
に
there,
入
lock
って
yourself in, stay
鍵を
inside,
か
and
けて
don't make a
絶対に
sound.
物音一つ立てないで
I reached to open the door, but something stayed my hand. It was my promise to Chamie. That scream was very real. It wasn't normal. I had to assume the situation was dangerous. Maybe I could help out, but that also would mean endangering myself. I'm no saint, and I had no plans to rectify that. If there was something that could get me to walk out, it would have to be curiosity. My curiosity had won over many dangers thus far, but right now, it is weaker than my failure and risk of death. Why? Because I already knew. Shit, what the hell were these memories? Indeed. So this isn't just a game mechanic where I just replay and avoid dying. Haruki indeed remembers actually running into these things. It wasn't a premonition, dream, or anything else that vague. My brain recognized it as something I experienced, but how? After all, I'm still alive, and the time from those memories had yet to come up. Was I a precog or something? Oh my god, I swore I'd never experienced anything like this before coming here, and why did that memory come back to me at this particular moment? Regardless, that overwhelming fear and the pain of death were exactly what waited for me if I opened that door, and I couldn't feel more certain. The thoughts rendered me unable to move, immobile. I stood still, completely certain I'd lost my chance to leave. I wasn't childish enough to sneer at selfish decisions, but this didn't feel good. Not to mention I was upset at myself for not being able to act like me and just run out because I was curious. I didn't even feel saved until that moment. Suddenly, the door began to shake. This place had a handle, and someone's pulling it hard. There was a lock, sure, but there was only so much it would take before it broke. I prepared to pull it out from the inside,
今
but
から人はここに
get
入
in
って
here, lock yourself,
鍵を
stay
か
in,
け
and
て
don't make a
絶
sound.
対に物音一つ立てないで
What happened if I did? Whatever was outside would instantly know I was in there, even if I protected the door. This thing had lots of other ways of hurting me. What if it didn't know about me and was just weirded out by this randomly locked toilet? What if I didn't show a hint of fear to what it was doing? Would it just leave? I chose to just wait and see. Once again, someone pulled the door, shaking the structure as a whole. I gulped a stream and focused on the lock. If it broke, it's over. Over as in I'd actually be dead. That was what the memory told me. I was powerless, and it's even more so now. Assuming I tried to fight back, what would even work? I'd heard that teeth are the hardest part of the human body, so maybe bite? Yeah, I'd tear apart with my teeth. I'd bite it to death. I gathered my wits in killing intent, grind my teeth, and glare at the door. How long had it been? The sound suddenly stopped. For all I knew, it might have been a ploy to make me drop my guard. I'd slowly count to 500. If nothing happened, I'd assume it went away. There were no screams of attacks after that, but the silence around me improved my perception. I Heard strange noises every now and then. Breathing, growling, claws on the ground. Basically a beastly presence. So that thing had actually existed here. Was it what the mists had brought here from the Saranaga? The wolf is coming. Did they all know about this? I couldn't learn anything in a place like this, and not knowing things scared me. Trusting my prescience or deja vu or whatever it was, I just chose to stay quiet and wait. I found out everything tomorrow. Just had to make it through the night and then talk to Chamie. It was something I couldn't solve. I just run away. Thankfully, my bike repairs were going well, but I'd be leaving if it didn't work. I'd walk to Amifuyoshi if I had to. Unlike Yasumuzu, they might have had a reliable means of transport. For now, I just had to stay awake and make it through the night. Tuesday, May 13th. I never like seeing night gradually turn brighter as the morning arrives. Let me grab a sip of my drink real quick. Just a dream indeed. Hold on. There we go. I never like seeing nights gradually turn brighter as the morning arrives. It always made me feel like shit, like I'd just done something harmful both for my body and as a human being in general. Found it natural to spend the night of sleep and woke in the morning well rested with a smile. I'd never experienced so much gratitude for the morning light leaking through the door of an outhouse. It felt like the beasts had been out and about all night. Naturally, the high humidity here had made my clothes all wet and sticky. It was unpleasant, but even trying to move them made it more comfortable for myself, like a matter of life and death. Maybe it was a good thing I couldn't relax, but hell, it was exhausting in more ways than one. When I had Chamie send Haruke sound in the distance, I was overcome with relief. I almost fell on my knees. If this turned out to be a trick and I'd open the door to see some wolf with a chewed collar lunging, I'd just give up and let it have me at that point. With that in mind, I opened the door. I expected to see the same picture as village. So what I actually saw, crushed me pretty hard. What the hell's up with this thick mist? I couldn't see shit. It's like the entire area was consumed by it. Did someone line every inch of this place with dry ice or something? I could hear Chamie, but not see her. Chamie, I'm right here. What, really? Heard a wet sound and finally saw a silhouette with the mist. Are you okay? I'm stuck in the field. I walked up and saw exactly what I expected. A girl struggling to free one of her legs stuck in the paddy field. I see. Well, good luck. Hey, help me out. Oh, you can't do it yourself. Take my hand and out you go. I tugged her hand and braced my legs. It was enough to help her, but she lost her balance and... Whoa, safe! Headlock! This is a wrestling move! You're actually pulling it off! Despite how close we were now, this wasn't the least bit romantic. Anyway, I'm glad you're okay. I definitely remember a time where I was far from alright, though. Yeah, I guess I am. I had no idea what that was about, but I didn't see any reason to mention it. I did feel there was some beast outside. Chamie's expression immediately darkened. She clearly knew what I was referring to. I have lots of questions, but right now I'm more interested in the scream I heard than anything else. That was... You know what I mean? She fell silent, clearly uncomfortable. It was pretty ominous. This way. No point in delaying the inevitable. She gave me her hand. I took it, but didn't feel the least bit excited about this. She led me down the path of school dorm. Oh, Fusai-san. Okay. Congrats on surviving, Toilet Man! Thanks, Warm Futon Man. You're okay. Wait, where's Haru-chan? Did she... Oh, she's fine. She suffered quite a shock, so she's taken a while to get dressed. I see. So the rest of you have already gotten a move on. How'd you even handle being in there anyway? Were you asleep? As if I could. I had no idea when I could get out, so I just waited until I heard Chimei's voice. Huh? You were awake? You made it sound like that was weird. Hey, you tried sleeping there, guy. You can't even sit, much less lie down. No, that's not what I see. I really hate when people just trail off like that. It makes me way too curious. Why are you here, anyway? Yeah, our character here seems to have a very inquisitive mind, but also to the point of, well, the saying is curiosity killed the cat. Waiting for Haru-chan and keeping a lookout.
状
Look
況が
out.
はっきりする
We're
まで
not letting anyone
現
near
場
the
に誰
scene
も
until
近
the
づかな
situation
い
is
ように
clear.
ね
Scene? So someone actually was...
ベンジョマンの胃
Wanna
袋の
see it?
郷土
It's a
試
good
し
way to test your stomach.
もち
Mochi, don't mess
I'm
around
not
like
fucking
that.
あ
Yeah, I do.
見るよ
The invisible and unknown were way scarier than anything else, not to mention I could always smell something foul. I lightly moved them aside and walked up the so-called scene. There was a corpse. It was in such a horrible state, it was hard to recognize it as human. I imagine this is what it would have gotten if you overturned a butcher's cart. That was how thoroughly the victim had been disassembled. Also, the butcher would have had to deal in entrails. Well, enough of that comparison. Straining my eyes to look through the thick mist, I could actually make out human parts. In the vast sea of blood or mountain of death. Hands, torn clothing, hair, and a shoulder bag. How professional. She kept hold of her interviewing tools even while running for her life. Didn't do her odds of survival any favors. Ah, so it was the reporter. Despite the body's state, it wasn't hard to tell the victim was Hisako Mamiya, the small-time food journalist. Mamiya. Wasn't that the name of the character from Sweet Home? I'm thinking too much. That thing, did it come to me once it was done murdering her?
これはひどい
This is awful.
大丈夫
Are you
吐き
alright?
気とか
Feel nauseous or anything? Chamey was standing a short distance away, looking at nothing
吐
particular.
くものもないし
I got nothing to puke, and well, I'm
慣れてるんで
used to this.
春明さん
Is that what you were
そっち系
studying
の
in
学部だっ
college?
ま
Well,
あ
I
一応
guess you could say
医
that.
学系
けえすごい
Wait, seriously? So you can do
検視とかできる？
autopsies and such?
医学系っ
When
ての
asked
は
if they study
医学
medicine,
部
I
以
guess
外
you could
の
say
類似
that
学部生が
I
見え
guess
張
what
って使う
similar
表
students
現
will
さ
say to make themselves look good.
病理解剖なら何度
When
か
asked if they study medicine, I guess you could say that is what students from similar departments would say to make themselves look good. But I did see a few pathology analyses. I crouched down and put my hands together, then grimacing at the harrowing reek of blood, innards, and especially digested food, I brought my face closer. Perhaps I could learn something from this? I could if it wasn't much. The corpse wasn't split into pieces. The limbs were still connected, but they were folded in an unnatural way and looked really flattened. They were either crushed or bent with no regard to bones or muscle position. Then her whole body had been torn apart. The innards were badly damaged. The words wolf down felt like the best way to put it. I found it hard to describe. This wasn't my job, so there wasn't much I could tell without touching
何が
it.
どうなってるのかわ
This is
からな
beyond
い
anything I've
程
ever
度に
seen
は
before. I can
状況
barely
を逸し
tell
た
what
傷だよ
happened
ね
here. Wow, they were folded in the most literal way possible. I had the urge to add that this seemed inhuman, but I kept myself from saying
とに
that.
かくとっとと
Anyway, we
警
should
察
call
を
the
呼んで
police. Leave it
プ
to
ロ
the
に任せよ
pros. I said something any good citizen would, but for some reason they didn't seem to
春
agree.
明さん
Haruke, the police
来ないん
won't
だ。
come.
そんなことはな
I
いでしょ
mean, why wouldn't they?
人が死ん
Someone
でるんだし。
literally just died.
来ないんだ
They won't.
じゃあ
Then
避難
let's
しよう。
evacuate.
それも無
That's
理なん
not
だ
happening either.
どうして
Why? We have my
バイ
bike
ク
in their
とに
van.
かく不在師さんで生存者は全員見つか
Anyway,
ったは
with
ずだから
Busai-chan, we now have all the
食堂に移
survivors.
動
Let's
しま
go
し
to
ょ
the
う
dining hall.
はるちゃんは
We'll
僕
wait
ら
for
が連れてくぞ
Haru-chan.
そっちはお願い
Yeah, you do that.
春明さ
Let's
ん
go, Haruka-san.
なあ
Can I get an
ちゃんと説
explanation?
悪いけど精神的
Sorry,
に
but
無
I'm
理
not in the mood for
自分
explanations.
で見
Figure
て
it out for
勝手に理
yourself.
解して
Yeah, she's intentionally refusing to explain it. It was the first time she had acted so harsh. I was pretty irritated, but it must have been worse for them. They actually had info on what was happening.
無神経だったよ
Sorry, that was insensitive of me. She said nothing more and just violently walked off, and I followed after her. When we reached the plaza, I instantly understood what she'd said about evacuating. The bike and the van were destroyed. The latter was in a particularly bad state. The front window was broken, all four tires flat. My bike was on its side, front fork was broken, well, it's basically scrap metal now. There's a rock next to it. Guess we had our weapon. And there were more remains in the van. An enormous mountain of flesh and bone. If I didn't know about Yudai, I'd have assumed there were 2 or 3 corpses in there.
橋本さん
Chamey slowly nodded. I now knew we'd lost not only 2 lives, but any means of transportation as well.
あれ見て
Look there. She pointed at a wooden electrical pole. The line was dangling, torn apart with no
よその電
repair.
線は生きてるけ
The
ど
other power lines are fine, but the dining hall was destroyed along with the telephone line. We can't
外には
contact
連
outside.
絡できないよ
So this wolf, or whatever it was, it's not just an animal seeking food or whatever. This was clearly calculated. They made sure that we were completely isolated. Well, more so than usual, I mean. I took out my own phone. It worked, but the battery was almost dead, and as before, was out of range. The situation became harsh, even more harsh than it was before. Look here, too. She walked a few steps, and I followed. There was a large boulder. It was tall enough to reach the average root, and there were drawings on it. A crimson symbol of some sort. What did it represent? At first, it looked like an incoherent mess of lines. However, I soon realized it was a pattern. It felt like a calling card, like of a street gang. From what I could tell, the basis was a warped diamond shape and a spiral inside, and there were 2 of them. They seemed to be drawn in blood, but that wasn't nearly as disturbing as the bizarre shape. 2 wolves have stuck into the village. We have to fight. Jamie made a quiet declaration. Apparently, the settlement had been invaded by something malicious, and it was intelligent enough to rid it of all means of escape or contacting help. I can understand that much, but it didn't make much sense. This wasn't some isolated island. There's a cliff, sure, but you could still go down to Saranaga or go to Kami Fujoshi. I'd ask about that next time I had the chance. Sorry. Sorry I got mad. It must be hard for you too.
まあ気
Don't
にしないでいい
worry
よ
about that. I'm
所
just
詮
an
僕はよそ
outsider.
者だ
そんなの言わないで
Don't say that. Oh, poor choice of words on my part. I mean, I'm an outsider who doesn't know the rules. Silently watching for
よ
the
そ
time
者ゆえ
being.
にルールがまだわからないから疲れちゃ
I'm
いるけ
tired,
ど
but think I'm less shaken
多
by this
分
than
普
most
通の
people.
人よりは
So I
動
figure
揺
it's
はして
best
ないと
for me
思
to
うか
stay
ら
cool.
きっと
I imagine the elders
他
are
のご
even
年
more
配
bothered
方
by
は
this.
もっと殺気立ってるだろうし
春明さん
Oh, okay. Are you
本
really
当に
just some
ただの
university
大学院
graduate?
生
What else?
そ
I
う
mean,
で
what
な
else
き
could
ゃ
I be?
なんだと
なんか
I don't know, you seem
異
way
様に
too
落ち着
calm
いてない
about this, like you're used to
まるで
situations like
こういう
this.
室に慣れてるみたい
Well, I mean, I was playing Among Us the other night.
多分
My nerves are pretty
大
messed
事な
up,
神
I
経が何本
guess.
か切れてるのさ
Small dining hall is jam-packed with people. Ooh, actually, I think this might be a good time to save now. Yeah, I actually think this might be a good time to call it. A decent cliffhanger, I'm out of water, and my throat's getting a bit dry, so I think this will be a good point. Well, I guess the wolves brought the rage, and the time loop has begun. I am very intrigued by this, so I'm going to take it as far as I can, and I will be respecting what the game requests of me, and I'll be finishing on my own time. But we'll be going as far as we can. Because I got, from what was said, the impression I got is that it's not, like, early on this happens. It'll be a good ways into the game, so hopefully it'll still be satisfying. Until next time, thank you for watching, hope you had a good time, and I'll see you later.